Our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. It's a unique state-of-the-art VIP 8-lane luxury suite. It's not too soon to book your holiday party. Call today and let the good times roll. Let us book your holiday event at any of our centers. Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, or Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. Ho, ho, ho!
Save up to 45% during Dell's semi-annual sale on business laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Tune in to the Keith Fire Show, Mondays at noon on Dayton, WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Positive for COVID-19. The players are in isolation. The ACC is working on rescheduling the game. The Saints are out of sync, aren't even close to where they're capable of, in the opinion of quarterback Drew Brees. He also said they need to be more efficient. Those comments by the 41-year-old after the loss to the Raiders aren't wrong, says ESPN NFL analyst Greg McElroy.
When you watch Brees, there are throws he's missing that he has never missed at any point in his career. He looks a little bit out of sync. Clearly, the separation with the wide receivers hasn't been consistent the way we've seen in years past. And it's something they absolutely have to get sorted out, because for as good as Brees and Kamara can be, it won't matter if they're completely off schedule offensively.
Greg McElroy with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mehenti. Lakers and Nuggets return to the floor for Game 3 of the NBA's West Finals tonight. LA's got a 2-0 series lead, has won 6 straight, 10-2 overall this postseason. Coverage 8:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app.
Coming up Wednesday, the Lakers look to get even closer to another championship as the Nuggets just really want to get back into the series. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Wednesday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
And I expected some hiccups yesterday, being back after a week off, but not on a Tuesday. Humble.
Humble pie.
I don't know about that. What'd you say? Humble pie?
Humble pie.
Fumble pie, maybe.
Oh, it happens.
I ain't humble.
We know that.
Nothing to be humble about. I'm the greatest man in the history of the world. No one's better than me. If only that were true. All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio Station 1410 Wing AM. We got a loaded show coming up for you today. The Cincinnati Reds, if the playoffs started today, they're not only in the last playoff spot, they're the second to last playoff spot. They are rolling right now. They've won 8 of their last 9. And for the first time in over 1,000 days, they're above 500. Now, that doesn't count. I mean, there's been multiple times where they've won on opening day. Actually, they've won a lot of opening day games, especially during the stretch that they've been rebuilding. It's kind of funny how that's worked. They've always, they've had a lot of success on opening day, but none after that. But the Cincinnati Reds are rolling right now. And for the first time since May of 2017, the Reds are above 500 and are locking in on securing a playoff spot. I mean, right now, it's not that they're a couple games out. They are a couple games up, and that's all that matters. I shouldn't say a couple games out, but they're about a half game up. I mean, they're unless they just pee down their leg coming up this week, they're in the playoffs. And this is going to be an exciting time for your Cincinnati Reds.
Absolutely, man. It's good to see them on the brink of making the playoffs, and we're going to have a lot of playoff baseball here on the radio for you guys, and we're definitely going to be tuned in. And my Cleveland Indians are also looking to lock down their playoff spot as well.
We're going to talk about right now, if the playoffs started today, who the Reds would be matched up with. Right now, 2 interesting teams that the Reds could be squaring off with right away. I mean, less than a week from now when the wild card round gets going. All right, we're going to talk about the injuries surrounding the National Football League like we did yesterday a little bit and dive more into that. We're going to get into some Browns-Bengals discussion. Ohio State, the Big Ten, we now know that they will officially kick off in October. We're a month away from that. But what happens between now and then? I'm still curious how the college football playoff polls are going to look, setting up and gearing up for that. We're going to get into that discussion coming up here around the corner. But we're going to be joined later on in the show every Tuesday moving forward. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He'll join us every Tuesday at 4:30. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk college football. You can hear Jason Fitz weekdays right here on ESPN Radio from 4 to 6 p.m. or from 7 to 9 p.m. 7 to 9 p.m. You can hear Jason Fitz and Sarah Spain and Fitz 7 to 9 p.m. weekday evenings right here on ESPN Radio. Jason Fitz going to hang out with us every Tuesday at 4:30 as we talk about some of the biggest college football and NFL games. He's a big Raiders fan, and his Raiders got a big Monday Night Football win last night. Drew Brees, now you're starting to see why that mofo was on the verge of retiring, put it that way.
Absolutely. It's looking like Drew Brees is playing how he plays at the end of the season as opposed to how he plays at the beginning of the season.
So that's going to be key. And it's funny, too, because you had that big week one matchup. You had Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. You had the Bucs versus the Saints. And, the Saints looked really good against the Bucs. They come out on top, and then they just laid an egg last night. But the Raiders, that new home stadium, you got, Gruden. Carr looked, much different last night than what we've seen. A lot of the short game. I mean, he's not going to be an aired out type of guy. Right. But, hey, you could win that way. It's not impossible to win that way. I just think the Raiders still have too many holes. But that was a big win for them last night. A good way to set the tone here early in the season.
One of my best friends is a Raiders fan, and my aunt is a huge Raiders fan. So throughout the game, they're blowing up my phone all night long and say, see, Derek Carr still got it. You still got it. Chucky still got it. And, it was pretty cool to see them get a big victory on Monday Night Football. They create matchup problems. That's what Gruden does. He finds the matchup problems. Everybody has him famous for that Y2 banana play and everything like that from back in the day. But, they run that play like at least 2 or 3 times a drive if they got things clicking. And it's pretty much unstoppable because you have to cover the long guy, the middle guy, and the short guy. Somebody's going to be open every single time, man. And so it's up to the quarterback to hit it. And Gruden's doing a great job, but more importantly, the players are doing a great job. They got matchup problems with the tight end Weller out there, a former basically walk-on in college and a training camp body back in the day. And now he's balling in the NFL. It's cool to see.
Ron, of course, is a big Buccaneers fan. He says it's funny how Brady is dogged in his first game, but Brees has struggled 2 weeks in a row. Look, well, Ron, that's part of the overreaction Monday. That's what always happens on a Monday. The Monday right after NFL Sunday, everyone is, we basically hand Super Bowl trophies to teams every Monday, and we also try to kick teams literally out of the league every Monday as well. We overreact every week. The Buccaneers will be fine. Tom Brady spent his entire career with one team. First game 2 weeks ago with his new team. I ain't worried about Tom Brady. Drew Brees might be something to look at there. Last night was pretty cool, though. You got to see the Saints Twitter account shared a video of Adam Troutman's first catch. Dayton Flyer, we've had him on the show throughout the offseason. I know he joined the show right after he was drafted, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And getting to see him be a part of that offense last night, I mean, it was a pretty cool catch. Look, is not tearing it up, but I mean, just to see the kid that was just a year ago playing here at Welcome Stadium and now all of a sudden is playing with the Saints, playing with Drew Brees, basically a lock as a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
Good for him. So we'll be keeping an eye on Adam Troutman, former Dayton Flyer, moving forward. But let's talk a little Cincinnati Reds. Doug Morgan on Facebook as well says it's pretty cool actually watching some meaningful Reds baseball. I agree completely. I mean, this has been kind of strange as we talked about it. And there, again, Doug Morgan, that was his comments from Facebook, by the way. You can tune into the show on Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook, give the show a follow, a like, and hang out with us weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. Reds win last night, and the Reds have won 8 of their last 9. And I found this interesting that when you look at how, the Reds have been rebuilding for a while, the Reds went all in. The Reds went all in the offseason. Now, I don't mean all in as in put a World Series caliber or a World Series team out on the field, but maybe. Because the one common thing that always happens come playoff time for baseball is it's a lot of times you could look at teams that are loaded as far as offense is concerned, but more times than not, it is going to be the pitching that gets the job done. You look at the Washington Nationals last year, the Washington Nationals, they lose Bryce Harper from the season before that. And think about any other season, any other sport, where if you lose your best player, there's no chance in hell you're considered a title team the next season. Right. You go into the NBA, take LeBron James off any team, you take Kevin Durant off any team. There's no way those teams are championship favorites heading into the next season without their best player. But that's what happened with the Nationals. They lost their best player, and they won a World Series the next year. Now, Washington's really good when their pitching is healthy. Now, they won because of pitching. And that's what the Cincinnati Reds are doing right now. That's the one thing we've been very critical of, because we knew that the strength for the Reds was going to be their pitching coming into the season. And basically the bullpen was garbage to start. They were really struggling. And then once the bullpen started to get going, then the rotation started kind of taking some lumps along the way. By the way, just found out Sonny Gray, obviously, back off the IL. So that's big for the Reds, who, of course, they're going to have their big hitters for this week, kind of closing out the regular season, hopefully securing their spot in the playoff. But a lot has changed. The Reds are hitting the ball now. They're scoring runs. And they're really not putting their bullpen is not being put in a lot of high leverage situations, which is something the bullpen struggled with early in the season. Now, could that be something that haunts this team come playoff time? Absolutely. But you know what? They'd be in the playoff.
Right.
That's all that matters as far as that's concerned, is getting into the playoff. Now, keep in mind, as far as the Reds' success against teams above 500 this year on the season, they are 11-16 against teams with a record above 500. Again, those numbers, I don't put too much stock into those, because right now it's all just about how are you playing now. That's why I'm not a big fan of when people like to use the advanced analytics and trying to use that to tell a story. I think that should play a role in the story, but that should not be the story, mainly because the team is different from week to week, day to day. Certain players are rolling, certain players are pitching better, some are pitching bad, some are hitting bad, some are hitting real well. And that's the thing that, with baseball drives me nuts, is a lot of the stat nerds like to try to use the numbers, especially in a 162 game season. Oh no, he's been hitting this all season. Yeah, well, for the last 6 games, he's been hitting well above 400. He's, hitting real well right now. Ride him while he's hot. That's always my mentality in baseball, is ride it while it's hot, because again, if you try to write a story with numbers throughout a 162 7-month season, it becomes a little difficult. Now, that's the history of baseball. It's always been done that way, and it always will, and I completely get that. But this is a situation where when you look at the numbers for the Reds, they've been outscored all season. Right? Their opponents have more runs than they've scored runs. The offense has been abysmal more times than not. But right now, when you look at this 9-game stretch, they've won 8 of their last 9. They've scored a ton of runs. This is a team right now that is playing their best baseball, and that's all you can ask for. David Bell, I don't know how much of this changes my opinion to David Bell, but all I asked about David Bell was I wanted to see the team respond to him. Because that was my biggest thing, not just in baseball, but in any sport out there, is can your manager, can your coach, can your leader get you to respond? It doesn't mean that it always has to result in a win, even though that's what we're ultimately expecting. But the Reds looked flat at times. They looked like they didn't care. The team just was, there was more attention being given to what cleats Trevor Bauer was wearing as opposed to what the result of the team, what the result was for the team that night. That stuff drives me up the wall. But when you win, especially in this time of the year, like, it's not like the Reds were buried and they just started winning meaningless games. They're winning meaningful games, and they're doing it against good teams. Now, they swept the Pirates, but playoff teams, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to bury your bad opponents. And then you play the White Sox, best record in the American League, and they won the series against the White Sox. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're beating the bad teams. They're winning series against good teams, and they're off to a good start last night against the Brewers. Game 2 coming up later on tonight. And you'll get to listen to the Reds and Brewers game 2, 6:40, the first pitch. 6:10 will be the pregame. Let's go to the Facebook feed. Travco says, I love that they are rolling, but having runners on second and third with no outs and not finding a way to score is going to come back and bite them eventually, especially when the third baseman is 50 feet off the bag. Just bunts, please. Travis, I could not agree with you more on that, especially last night. Obviously Gino's home run ended up, I'm not going to use the phrase bailing him out, but Gino's home run opened up the game, and that gave them some breathing room. And then Casale, of course, hits another one late to kind of give them some more breathing room. That's all you can ask for. But you're right, especially early on in that ball game, the 5th, 6th inning, they had so many runners left on base, and not just on base, but in scoring position. And everything is a home run or not. The Reds are, if you can basically take one player to compare the Cincinnati Reds to, it's Adam Dunn, because it's either home run or nothing. There's no in between. And that was the beauty of Adam Dunn's game, right? It was just a home run or a strikeout. There was no in between. That's Reds baseball. That's Reds baseball. And the Reds fans, there's a certain pocket of Reds fans on social media that absolutely love that stuff. Last night when the Reds hit 2 home runs and took the lead, you had a lot of Reds fans on Twitter saying, oh, I guess it's not that big a deal if the Reds only hit home runs. No, you want to score, you want to hit home runs, yes. But you got to find other ways to score, because you're not going to beat the Dodgers. You're not going to beat the Cubs in the first round of the playoffs if you're only trying to hit home runs, because guess what? the pitching for the Cubs and especially for the Dodgers, top notch. If you're going to rely on having to hit 4 to 5 home runs to beat the Dodgers every game, you are not going to do it. David Shaw says, if Adam Dunn baseball was beautiful, to each their own. I don't think I said his game was beautiful.
Mm-mm.
I said it was either home run or strikeout. There was no in between. Nothing. It was all or nothing. Shaw, I don't know what you thought you heard, or maybe you just mistyped that. I'm not really sure. I never said his game was beautiful. I just said, hey, I'm comparing the Reds' offensive attack to Adam Dunn, saying, hey, it was home run or nothing. But Travko, I agree with you. Travko is also the one that told me to stay in Florida because the Reds were 6-0 at a certain point during the stretch I had left. But they're 2-0 since I got back because they won Sunday and they won yesterday. So we're off to a good start.
So when did you see my tweet that I sent you?
Let's see. It was before or after the hurricane was rattling the building that we were in. Let me go back. When did you send that?
I sent that, I want to say, on game 5 that they won, because I actually watched that game. Because I heard the game on the radio when I was ripping and running one day, and Reds did another one. I was like, was that 4? Another one. So I made it a point to check them out, and saw that they won their 5th game. So I was like, Kenner's down there in Florida having a good time. And let me send them a tweet.
Hey, look, people think I hate the Reds. Like, that's the thing. So I got a lot of tweets about the Reds while I was gone, and a lot of them were, oh, you're awfully silent. Well, hold on. I'm trying to survive a hurricane. I'll get to my Reds takes coming up here shortly. Just give me some time. And no, I'm not. I don't hate David Bell. What I was frustrated with David Bell over was the fact that they were losing. I love when people do that, by the way. Like, you win. Oh, by the way, so let's see. He was the manager for 162 games. We're at 50. So David Bell has been the manager for 200 plus games for this Reds team. And within those 200 games for David Bell as manager of this Reds team, this is the best 9-game stretch throughout that. Now, you could find long winning streaks and all that, but this has been the most meaningful pocket of games in the managerial career of David Bell. Because these games, it's not just winning, it's the timing of the wins, and not just, winning, but unburying yourself out of the bottom cellar of the division. Again, the Pirates' worst team in that division, they're second to last. The Reds were, and now all of a sudden they're fighting the Cardinals and battling it out for the 2 spot. But for those of you watching live on Facebook and listening in, don't worry, we'll make sure that we walk through the standings here. Take a look. Here are the Major League Baseball standings right now for both the American League and the National League. The Cincinnati Reds, again, there's 8 spots to get into the playoffs. The Reds right now are holding on to that 7th spot. They moved up a game last night. For the first time since 2017, the Reds are 1 game above 500. Do you know the last time they were above 500, Kev? It was 1,226 days ago.
Need to play that at the lotto.
1,226 days it has been since the Reds were a game above or just above 500 at all. And again, the last date that they were above 500, May 14th, 2017.
Whew, it's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And again, that was only May. So, we're talking September. I would love to find out the last time that they were, above 500 at this point of the season. But, our stats team here, we have a small stats team. I mean, it's me and you. We'll work on that. I'll make sure I put in a request as far as that goes. But look at the Reds at 28 and 27. Look how tight this is. Okay. You have the Marlins. So the Padres 34 and 20. They have the 4 seed right now. They're not moving. They're staying put. I mean, they might kind of flip-flop with Atlanta. They might flip-flop with the Cubs. I mean, it's basically 2 through 4 battling it out for seeding as far as that goes. But then you have 5 through 8 all battling it out for seeding. And not just 5 through 8, you also have 2 teams on the outside of that. So you're coming down to about 6-7 teams battling it out for the final 4 spots in the Major League Baseball playoffs. This is going to be a fun week, a final stretch of baseball. But right now, the Reds at 28-27, basically a half game above the Cardinals. I mean, they're going to be fighting it out for them to get that 2nd spot within the NL Central. So they're not just fighting for a wild card. They're trying to get there to that 2nd spot in the Central as far as that's concerned. The Reds could probably finish as high as 5 as far as the seeding is concerned. Now, if you're watching on Facebook as well, take a look. If the playoffs started today, here's how the playoffs would shake out as far as the first round or the wild card matchups. The National League wild card series. So last night, if the playoffs had started, the Reds would have been the 8 seed going up against the 1 seed Dodgers. Reds, Dodgers, I don't like that matchup. Now, let's be clear. Anyone that ever gets 8 seed in the history of any playoffs, it's usually not a good matchup. You're not, you're getting the number 1 seed. But right now, with the Reds being that 2 seed,
you feel that way even in baseball.
for the Reds right now, just because of their struggles, yes. But no, baseball is probably the easiest that you can probably get a 1-8. Again, this is the first time we've had this many teams make the playoffs as far as that's concerned. And when you have less teams, for instance, like the Cardinals, if they were the 6th team to get into the playoff, if you didn't have this expansion right here, the Cardinals' chances of beating the Dodgers, it's no surprise at all if they beat the Dodgers. But because you've expanded it out, like that's the thing too. The Reds are good chance they make the playoffs. But I'm still not happy with how they've performed because they've left a lot of wins on the table that we really shouldn't even be holding our breath in the final week of the season as far as making the playoffs is concerned. But if the playoffs started today, the Reds would have the Cubs in the division and in the wild card series. Again, the playoffs start coming up this weekend. So the question is if you finish at 7 or 8, Dodgers or Cubs, who do you want? Obviously, the Dodgers the best team in baseball, but the Cubs have also had the Reds number as well. So that's kind of the interesting conversation to have there. Clearly, I would want the Cubs, but
Absolutely.
The reason people would say, well, I don't want to say clearly I'd want the Cubs. I'd still be weary about the Cubs because regardless of whether the Dodgers are better than the Cubs or not, the Cubs are still that divisional bully, that intimidation factor. I think the Reds would be more intimidated by the Cubs in the playoffs because it's the Cubs more so than the Dodgers.
I think it would be the opposite. I would think they would have more familiarity with the team. It's a team that you play all the time. You are probably more comfortable playing them. It's not like I would view it as it's not a big deal to them playing them. I will want to play the Cubs if I'm a Reds fan.
Yeah, and then seeing the Reds on the season again, the Cubs have had their way with the Reds throughout the season. The Reds have been able to sneak a couple wins in here and there against the Cubs, but ultimately the Cubs are just like that. You know, when we talk about, and I'm not comparing this Cubs-Reds thing to Ohio State, Michigan, but I do believe it also gets in the head of Michigan, that team, because it is Ohio State. And Michigan always feels like they have a good team, and more times than not, they really do. But I do think there's a mental block. Like the last couple seasons, Michigan has had some of the best defenses in college football, and yet it's like that top defense always seems to disappear going up against. And you could say, oh, well, that's just how good Ohio State's offense is. Yes, but at the same time, there's just something about that matchup where Michigan just comes and they become a completely different team. I see a lot of that when the Reds go up against the Cubs. It's that intimidation factor. The Reds are the new kids on the block. They've just emerged as a playoff contender. And the Cubs, they've been doing this a while, going back to when they won the World Series quite a few years ago. They've been doing this a while. Your Indians, of course, know this. But again, it's just the Cubs just have this aura about them that I don't even think it's just about the Reds versus the Cubs. I think the Cubs possess that going up against most teams that they go up against right now. And by the way, it's because of that pitching. Pitching is key, but the bullpen for the Cubs is one of the best bullpens in baseball.
I just don't see it that way. Maybe because I don't watch a lot of National League baseball. When I think of auras about a team, when I think, all right, man, this team just has our number because they're this team. It's always been the Yankees. It's always been the Red Sox for the last 15 years. So I just don't view the Cubs in that manner. I would almost look at the Dodgers as a team. They're both beatable. Personally, I think the Reds can beat both teams in a series, especially the Dodgers, because of the ton of pressure that's on the Dodgers year in and year out to produce a world championship. They spend a ton of money. So they're under pressure all the time. Now, you could look at it when the Reds go into this as, all right, we're happy to be here, or we got free money. This is a free season. We got a bonus play. But them, the Dodgers, they're supposed to be here. They're supposed to be making a run at it and play free and have some fun, and maybe you win the series.
Yeah, too. And by the way, the Reds lineup has just been released. We'll talk about that lineup coming up here. I'll reveal that coming up here momentarily around the corner. But I'm glad you brought that up because the expectations for the Reds coming into this season, I had them winning 40-plus games.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I had them winning 40-plus games. Right now, when you look at their record, they're sitting at 27 wins on the season. So it's just one of those things where, again, with about 6 games remaining in the regular season, they're going to get to that 30-plus win. That's what Vegas had them at, coming into the 60-game shortened season to begin with. But again, they had them at about 32 wins on the season. I think they're going to probably fall just short of that, depending on, what's coming up. They do have the Twins coming up after this series with the Brewers. But this team should have had playoff expectations. The reason I've been so hard on this team this year is because of the fact that this is no longer a rebuilding team. like, you could make excuses in years past when they're rebuilding and when they're retooling and they're trying to develop some younger talent. And you could admit that maybe they've been doing some of that this year. I mean, when they go out and they're bringing up some of the younger guys and trying to see what they have. I mean, Shogo Akiyama's not a young guy, but he's a new guy as far as not just new to the Reds, but new to the league in general. But that's the thing. So it's going to be interesting. But to me, the Reds, they're no longer a rebuilding team. They were expected to win. The reason they were expected to win is because, well, look at all the money they spend. You don't go spend a lot of money just to hopefully make the playoffs. Right. You go spend a lot of money to make the playoffs. And that's what the Reds did. They brought in Mike Moustakas. They bring in Castellanos. They made the big trade at the deadline last year to be able to acquire Trevor Bauer from the Indians. They made the big trade, the sign and trade, at the beginning of last season to be able to get Sonny Gray from the Yankees. So the Reds they've been maneuvering themselves for a while, trying to be able to get the right pitching. And to be honest, the main reason that they've been able to maneuver themselves into getting this done is because of the play of Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, after his performance last night, he's 4-0 in the month of September. Listen to this. He's 4-0 in the month of September. He has an ERA at 1.26. He has 33 strikeouts, and all opponents are hitting 163 against him. I mean, if the Reds' opponents were a baseball player, David Bell would bat him first. I mean, that's how good teams are against the Reds right now when it comes to that. But 457-9464, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's home of the Reds, and you can catch Reds and Brewers game 2 coming up here later tonight. 6:10 will be the pregame. 6:40 will be the first pitch. All right. We got a lot still more to get into real quick. Let's go back to the Facebook feed. David says Cardinals and Cubs have the Reds number going all the way back to when I was in high school. David says that was back in 2000. So there's that. All right, Reds fans, we'll get into some more Reds talk coming up here in just a bit. We'll talk some NFL stuff and college football coming up around the corners. Big college football matchups. Finally, something to look forward to. We'll discuss when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Sunny skies for this first day of autumn with a high of 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and dry with a low of 51. And for your midweek Wednesday, partly cloudy and a high of 82. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for the previews to start in a movie theater.
Hey, you want anything? Popcorn? Soda? No, nothing.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's a new season. And it's Sport Clips haircuts. All of our stylists are clean certified and guy smart. So come in and get yourself back in the game with our legendary MVP experience. It's a mancation with our hot steam towel, relaxing shampoo, and a winning cut. Check in online and walk out with confidence. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
And you be stepping out like a pro.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply. If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Small Engine Service Pros in New Carlisle is your local authorized dealer for the Hustler mower family. Stop in today and take a look at the new Hustler Super Z Hyperdrive, ready to take on the big jobs. The Super Z Hyperdrive features Hustler's exclusive Hyperdrive transmission system, the largest, most durable drive system in the industry, and it's backed by a 3,000-hour drive system warranty. Hustler, tools, not toys. Visit Small Engine Service Pros at 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
It's the summer clearance event at New Carlisle Chrysler. I'm Chris Toby. At New Carlisle, our primary focus is your safety and ours. We are practicing safe social distancing. Probably like you, we hate it, but we are wearing our masks and we are diligently cleaning the dealership. If you're more comfortable handling your sales and service needs from home, we can help you. Visit TobyAuto.com where you can complete all aspects of the vehicle purchase, including financing and trade appraisals, schedule service, or simply get a question answered. Most importantly, stay safe out there. We will get through this together.
Champagne Dental, taking the fear out of dentistry.
Champagne Dental Group in Urbana knows how important it is for you to have a healthy, bright smile. We believe maintaining oral health is an integral aspect of your overall health. This is why we want to reward you for your regular checkups with our Forever Bright Teeth Whitening Program. Call today to set up an appointment and let us help make your smile bright. Champagne Dental Group in Urbana, 653-8650 and online at champagnedentalgroup.org.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
John McManus is running hard to be our Montgomery County Treasurer. Montgomery County is already one of the highest tax counties in the state. It seems like every day we're being told to pay higher and higher taxes. Now, in the middle of a pandemic, we're told to get ready for another tax increase next year. When John McManus was vice president of the largest school board in Montgomery County, he fought against property tax increases. As our next county treasurer, he'll stand with us again. This November, vote John McManus for Montgomery County Treasurer.
I'm John McManus, and I approve this message.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your car insurance with Right Track, which rewards you for safe driving.
As the world's most careful driver, that's perfect. Now applying 2 pounds of force for acceleration. Really? Turning in 0.3 miles and begin a deceleration.
With Liberty Mutual's Right Track, you could earn up to 30% savings based on how you drive. Sign up at libertymutual.com/righttrack.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Discount on participating vehicles, base coverages only. Availability varies.
Third floor study hall. My dining room table. Homeroom Monday and Tuesday. My living room Wednesday to Friday.
Wherever school happens for you this year, Staples has amazing prices on everything your student needs. This week, get 20% off copies and prints for school. That's 20% off posters, worksheets, schedules, and reports. Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on. Staples. Visit staples.com/school printing for coupon. In-store only. Exclusions apply. Ends 10/31. Curbside available in most stores.
School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right, no matter where school happens. And all at amazing prices. School on, save on at Staples.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Back to the famous WING studios. Here's Justin Kinner and Kev Nash.
All right, everybody, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on a Tuesday. I hope everyone's had a great day. Lots to still get into. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He's going to be calling into the show coming up here in hour number 2, 4:30. We'll talk with Jason regarding all the big topics, all the big headlines, surrounding college football and the NFL. Of course, you can catch Jason Fitz weekday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. on Spain and Fitz, immediately following our show. And immediately following our show, coming up later on tonight, you will hear the Reds, Game 2 against the Brewers. The Reds right now, if the playoffs started today, are in the playoffs. Last night, of course, they were sitting in that 8th spot with the win over the Brewers. They moved themselves into the 7th seed. And, of course, when you look at what's coming up for the Reds, when you look at some of the teams who are really trying to fight for positioning within the playoffs, who has the easiest path to the playoffs, or at least a way to be able to kind of, solidify themselves. The Marlins, their remaining opponents' win percentage is sitting at 0.58. I'm sorry, 0.58. All right, you look at the Mariners. All right, 57. Then the Reds come in at third at 55. So keep in mind that this is the one reason I was also really beyond frustrated with the Reds, because when you look at the situation coming into the season, we're talking about the remaining opponents' win percentage. The Reds had the easiest strength of schedule here in 2020. 2020. That amazes me. All right, 2020 in 2020 they had the easiest schedule, and yet the Reds are clawing to get into the playoffs. Again, I'm not being negative. I'm just pointing out. People keep asking why you've been so negative on the Reds, because every star had a line to be able to position themselves to avoid having to be able to claw and hold people off. One more real quick, Kev, too. The Giants are fighting behind them. They have the 4th easiest opponent win percentage moving forward, and the Brewers have the 6th. So the Reds are in position now. I mean, they have the easiest outside in the National League. They have the easiest remaining schedule to close out the final week of the regular season.
I agree with you for the most part. Good teams take care of the business they're supposed to take care of. You talked about them sweeping the Pirates and everything like that, but there's been series this year that they played the Pirates that they have dropped games to the Pirates and everything like that. So you got to take care of business when you're supposed to. But the flip side of that is you just don't know about a team's quote unquote strength of schedule until the games are played. No one expected, at least I can put my hand in there. I didn't expect the Twins to be as good as they were. You're a little more tapped into baseball than I am. I just didn't expect the Twins to be as good as they were. I was just taking it for granted that they were going to be a blah team, but they're not. They're good. So we just don't know until the season play. We talk about Notre Dame football all the time. We talk about the matchups that they have. They talk about, all right, they play the Michigans, they play the USCs and everything like that. So going into the season, we're enamored at their schedule. But then by the end of the season, them teams wasn't no good. We don't know if people are good until the season plays out.
No, that's true. And right now, the Reds, regardless, again, the two teams that they're most likely to be matched up against, the Dodgers and the Cubs. And right now, if you look at how this would shape out, the Reds would go up against the Cubs in the wild card round, and then you'd go on to face the winner between the Braves and the Cardinals. Look, the Reds can inch themselves all the way up to the 6 or 5. Right now, we're just happy that they're even in the mix. As long as I've been working here, I have yet to be able to host a show here while we're talking about the Reds in the playoffs, and I think that's pretty exciting as far as that goes. We'll get into some more Reds talk coming up.
Who do you want on the play?
I'm in between. The Dodgers is who I would prefer. I don't think the Reds are intimidated by the Dodgers. I think they are intimidated by the Cubs. The Cubs aren't as good as the Dodgers, so it's easy to say, I'd rather the Reds play the Cubs because they're not as good as the Dodgers. I would rather the Reds play the Dodgers. I think that they're going to have their hands full regardless. Mm-hmm. But to me, I just think there's that mystique about the Cubs. Maybe not against every opponent that the Cubs go up against, but especially against divisional opponents. They're the Cubs. That's the thing. And coming into the year, the Cubs, this is one of the weaker Cubs teams. But again, because it is the Cubs, it definitely kind of widens that gap. But no, the Dodgers, I think the Reds would be more locked in for the Dodgers. I think that right now with this good, and I think the Reds have their work cut out for them too, because keep in mind, Luis Castillo has an ERA right now. I mean, he is kicking ass as far as that's concerned. The month of September is 4.0, ERA at 1.26. He has 33 strikeouts in the month of September, but he's had the best September. But Trevor Bauer has been the Reds' best pitcher all season long. And the Reds and David Bell have a tough decision to make on who they're going to roll with in game one of any series, no matter what, whether it's a wild card, whether it's, whatever they position themselves in. The Reds have a tough decision to make as far as who their starter is going to be in game one of any playoff series and any opponent that they go up against. That's going to be key. I think it's going to be easy to roll the dice and go with Luis Castillo, but I think you should go with the horse that got you there. Trevor Bauer has been not just the Reds' best pitcher all season. I think he's been the best pitcher in baseball. As much as he drives me up the damn wall, I think that you got to go with the guy who, by the way, has pitched in some of the biggest games of his career. He's pitched deep into the playoffs. He's pitched in a World Series. Luis Castillo, if he was to start the Reds' very first playoff game, since the beginning of the 2010s, to me, I just don't see that. That would be his first start ever in the playoffs. I wouldn't throw him out into the Wolves like that. That would be focused on Trevor Bauer as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, Bauer's up there with Shane Bieber, the guys that have really been balling this season, pitching wise. I probably would say the Dodgers as I think about it, just because I like to have the pressure on the other team. The pressure is all on the Dodgers. I don't care what anybody says. It's a throwaway season. It's not too much pressure. It's a Rona season, everything like that. No one's playing at home, yada, yada, yada. There's no fans. No, the pressure is always on the team that spends that type of money that the Dodgers spends. So the pressure's on the Yankees. The pressure's on the Dodgers. All the big-time teams that spend money in baseball, the pressure's on them to come through and go to the World Series because they're expected to. The Reds aren't expected to make it to the World Series like they are. So prove it.
But the problem is, and I agree with you, but we never put the pressure on those teams in base. For one, it's the hardest championship to win in any sport. I think it's harder than football. It's harder than basketball. More times than not, the best team in basketball usually, the Lakers, the 1 seed, they're poised to go on to win the championship this year. That's going to surprise nobody, and it shouldn't. And in football, a lot of times, the Chiefs were the best team in football. More times than not, if you look at the top 3 teams in football every year, more times than not, one of the top 3 teams always seems to come away with that trophy. There's outliers. I shouldn't even use the word outliers with that. Outliers are rare. More times than not, you do see teams outside of the top 3 teams can get hot. We've seen wild card teams do it. The Giants did it multiple occasions with Eli. But the bottom line is that in baseball, it's the Reds could go on to win a World Series.
Yes.
It's not that, the Nationals, no one gave the Nationals a shot last year, and they had one of the best rotations in baseball, but because they didn't have Bryce Harper, who they lost in free agency to the Phillies, who coincidentally enough, the Phillies missed the playoffs last year, you never know how that's going to work.
And this year, Washington is going to miss the playoffs.
Shaw says, as a Braves fan, I want the Reds as far as that's concerned. So, no, look, the Reds, I wouldn't want them to, meet up with the Reds. The problem is, though, every team that makes the playoffs usually has a couple horses in their rotation. You're not making the playoffs with a bad rotation. You're not going to advance to the playoffs with a bad bullpen either, and I can't tell what the Reds have right now. The Reds have an improved bullpen, but I still think there's a lot of ghosts that still kind of float around in the heads of some of those guys. Like, if they go to Iglesias in the playoffs, I'm going to be a nervous wreck the entire time. Even though Iglesias has not pitched horribly. He's pitched really well as of late. But they go to him in the playoffs, I'm worried about what's up here when it comes to that, as far as just because of how many games he has cost the Reds at the beginning of the season till now. It's going to be interesting. Dalton Cooper on Facebook, again, going back to the Facebook reaction, he says, the more turnover in baseball and variance from year to year as players more than any other sport. I don't even think it's that. I just think it's you play 100. Yes, that plays a role, Dalton, but keep in mind, too, 162 games over 6 months. Mm-hmm. It's about who's healthy, too.
Yeah.
Who's healthiest at the end. I think that plays a huge role as far as that's concerned. Ron Howard says, don't matter who the Reds play in the playoffs, Bell will lose it due to his inexperience and computer crap.
I just was about to bring that up. I was just about to say that.
To be fair, well, yeah, but keep in mind, though, David Bell is wired for the playoffs. His biggest problem, I'll give David Bell this. He manages a 162-game season like it is the playoffs, and you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We always say all the time, man, you always have to manage a game differently in the playoffs than you do in the regular season. David Bell's problem is he's always so extra cautious because he's treating every game like it's Game 7 of the World Series instead of saying, you need to win the game tonight. You worry about tonight.
Right.
In the playoffs, you're trying to stretch, you're making a lot of similar decisions too, but David Bell, I think he'll be okay. I'm not going to David Bell gets through the playoffs, great. if they get to the playoffs and they lay an egg, oh well. Like you talk about that pressure, the Reds are just expected to make the playoffs. This is like that first step, all right? This is the second step. The first step was, putting a competitive team out on the field, looking like a quality team. The Reds have accomplished that. They were able to get good pitching. They have solid hitting. The bullpen, it's been shaky, but they've gotten the job done as of late. You're not winning 8 of your final 9 in September, positioning yourselves for the playoff spot if you don't have a good bullpen, and the Reds have been able to do that. Hell, David Bell's used the bullpen to start games. We've seen what Michael Lorenzen's been able to do in being an opener. Not a big fan of that, but guess what? I'll keep my promise. David Bell wants to do stupid things that I don't like as far as using an opener. Just win. If he does dumb things like that and the Reds win, which they have been, you ain't going to hear a word from me. But when you do stupid stuff like that and you lose, guess what? Ken are going to chat a lot.
See, the thing is about playoff baseball, every decision that's made by a manager is under the microscope. The things that the normal everyday Reds fan watches on a day in and day out basis and complains about, it goes unheard until the national media gets a hold of it and it's on ESPN because it is the playoffs and everything is magnified. Those decisions made by managers that are out of the box or quirky, they're looked at as good if it works out, and it's looked at what the blank are you doing when it doesn't work out. It's all about if it works or not and having a feel for your guys. And like I say this all the time, you're dialed into baseball way more than I am, but you got to have a feel of your guys. We talk about the Cleveland Indians a little bit just because I'm here, but, Francona is not going to be there. He's dealing with blood clots all over his body. He's not going to be there. So is Sandy Alomar going to be able to push the right buttons for the Cleveland Indians when they make the playoffs? Is David Bell's micromanaging and number crunching going to work when they make the playoffs? Because right now it's just the local guys talking and complaining about it. But when it's in the playoffs, when it's on TBS at 1:00 and people are, taking the extended lunch break like it's March Madness and watching every pitch from beginning to end, not just coming home at the 7th inning and checking out the last couple innings of the game or just catching the first couple innings of the game. When the playoffs happen, people watch from beginning to end. So the microscope is going to not only be on the players, but especially in the case of David Bell because of his style of managing. Yeah, and again, I'm always super critical of David Bell, so I'm trying to make sure I toe that line of being consistent too. They're playing well. We said this, when we get to the playoffs, let's be clear. The playoffs are already started. Right. Like every loss, again, it's not like single elimination, but every loss is a critical loss, and every win doesn't feel big. Every win just feels like a sigh of relief. Every loss feels huge. Every win just feels like, you know what I mean? Like, because every win doesn't get you anywhere, Kev. It just keeps you where you're at. But every loss sets you back. So right now the Reds the playoffs have already started. Right. And David Bell's handling of this team in this second to last week of the season has been fantastic. He's done a good job already with this. We'll see. Last night, though, it did drive me nuts with the small ball. Again, just always having to rely. To me, that's not strategy. What's strategy? People, this is what, and I think, was it you who were talking about putting the DH in the National League, and we hate it because it takes strategy out. Baseball's been doing everything they can to take strategy out of the game for years now. Strategy is advancing base runners, is increasing your shot to win. Now, stats will show that, hey, bunting and all that stuff doesn't work. It's not true. That's not true. The stats may show that, but I'm telling you right now, again, every time you go up there and it's just swinging for the fences or nothing, that's bad baseball. It's bad baseball. I don't care what anybody says. It's bad baseball. And it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds moving forward. But last night, there was not a fan of that either. Everything's fences or nothing. But here's the deal. You might beat the Dodgers in small ball, but you're not going to beat do you really think against the Dodgers and Kershaw and those guys, you think you're going to average 5 to 6 home runs a night? Can't do it.
You think you're going to average 3 home runs a night? Because let's just say it's 3 single shots a night. That's only 3 runs. You're going to outscore the Dodgers lineup with that? Find ways to get runs in. Not everything has to be out of the fence or not. Give me a break. David Kendrick on Facebook says that is a great point by Kev. In these uncertain baseball times, managers that pull quirky moves that are successful are going to get praised as geniuses by the national talking heads. Also, baseball is the only sport where you can make a decision early in the game, and we'll all blame you for that decision early in the game. I brought that up all the time about if you pull a guy too early in the 3rd inning or 4th inning, we're going to say, the game is lost then. But when basketball coaches make stupid decisions and bench guys in the second quarter or the first half, we don't do that. We don't say, if the coach wouldn't have managed his fouls better in the first half, it might be a small talking point, but we're not going to blame the coach for that and say they lost because of baseball. We do that all the time. Oh, if he wanted to have taken Bauer out in the 5th inning and let him go for 2 or 3 more, the Reds win that game. We do that all the time. No other sport do we do that. I bring that up all the time. That's why I talk about officiating. Officiating is bad in every
baseball,
game.
the pitcher controls everything. The pitcher controls the tempo of the game. He controls what happens on the field and everything like that. He has more control than anybody else, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't have control of how long he could stay out on the mound. That's the big complaint about David Bell. How many games this year and again, Bauer gets more leash than any of them. But how many games, not just this year, we've talked about 200-plus games that David Bell's managed this Reds team. And how many times can you go to social media during a Reds game and just have fans ripping David Bell because what are you doing? You should have left him out there. He's rolling. Why would you go to this questionable bullpen at this time when you have a guaranteed out in this inning? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I know what you're saying. Yes, when the pitcher's out there, they control everything, but they don't control when they get taken out. And David Bell has made that an art as far as taking guys out early.
Okay, so answer this for me. What is this for then? If it's to save their arm, right? It's to save their arm, right? Is it to save their arm for later in the season, like in the postseason when you need them, or is it to save their arm for later on in their career?
No, it ain't for later on in the career. And more times than not, you would like to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's for later on in the season, but it's for that magical little stat of the 3rd time through the order. Oh, hey, he's rolling right now, but man, that's the first 2 times through the order. The 3rd time through the order is when pitchers fall apart. So David Bell tries to he tries to eliminate the blow-up ball before it actually happens, which, again, sounds good, but sometimes that also costs you more games than not because when a guy's rolling, you're going to a bullpen that even if they're pitching well, it's still not as good as what the starter was doing more times than not. As far that's why I'm like, you got to have a feel for the game.
Starter for a reason.
Yeah, that's where the binder says to do this at this time. And that takes the feel out of the game. You can look at a guy and know whether or not he's still going strong. That's where the problem I have with that as far as that goes. All right, plenty more coming your way. And by the way, where did that go? David Shaw says, so about those SEC football matchups that weren't going to happen, isn't that right, Kenner? I was adamant that, hey, don't worry, Buckeye fans. We're all mad. There's no Buckeye football this fall. The SEC won't have a season either. Hey, I told you, if there's ever a thing I would love to be wrong about, it was that. But keep in mind, we're already starting to see some big hiccups. A lot of big matchups in college football coming up this week. One of the biggest matchups in college football has already been postponed. A big name opponent or a big name program will be sitting out this Saturday due to the coronavirus. We'll discuss next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
When you get your flu shot at Walgreens, you don't just leave with a bandage. You leave with a badge of honor because it means you don't just help protect yourself. You fight for the safety of the ones you love. It proves you'll do no matter what for those who matter most. Get your free flu shot with most insurance today at Walgreens and get a $5 coupon off same-day purchases of $20. Be a flu fighter. Defend your crew against the flu. Walgreens. Not valid in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. See coupon for restrictions. Vaccine subject to availability.
And now a game of commercial chicken brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So, traffic has been crazy lately, right? And rush hour? Forget it. Nobody wants to let you merge onto the highway. But hey, somebody let you merge or you wouldn't be there. So, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
Who hasn't felt protective lately of our families, our communities, our resources? In times like these, we all fight to make sure our people are safe. But at the American Cancer Society, our people, our community, our family is made up of millions of cancer patients and their families. So keeping them safe takes everyone's help. During COVID-19, help us keep vital resources available to cancer patients. Please donate to the American Cancer Society at cancer.org.
Sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
It's the summer clearance event at Key Chrysler. I'm Chris Toby. At Key, our primary focus is your safety and ours. We are practicing safe social distancing. Probably like you, we hate it, but we are wearing our masks and we are diligently cleaning the dealership. If you're more comfortable handling your sales and service needs from home, we can help you. Visit TobyAuto.com where you can complete all the aspects of a vehicle purchase, including financing and trade appraisals, schedule service, or simply get a question answered. Most importantly, stay safe out there. We will get through this together.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Make over your kitchen or bathroom with Mohawk tiles. Nothing matches the beauty and durability of porcelain, mosaic, and ceramic tile. Right now, get 11% off. Over 150 in-stock options. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through September 26th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works Package and the Double Take Tire Specials. Call today for your appointment, 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen. Our Roosters family would like to thank all of our loyal Roosters guests who have supported us during these challenging times. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to keep our team members employed. We are striving to do everything we can to keep you and our team safe. Find a location near you at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
I'm Scott. I'm a Park National Banker and I'm a community board member. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you've always counted on, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right, no matter where school happens. And all at amazing prices. School on, save on at Staples.
The Reds are on the radio.
Cincinnati Reds baseball is finally here. There are only 60 games this season, so don't miss a second of the action.
Winker hammers one to deep right field, and that is a no-doubter.
Catch every game right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Back to the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Yeah, our Browns-Bengals talk got a little heated yesterday. I've been trying to kind of tiptoe that today. You know, I don't like to have so much anger in back-to-back days.
Yeah, man, you fresh off a vacation, man.
I had a lot bottled
engaged.
up. I had a lot bottled up, man. I saw so much delusion about Joey B while I was gone, and I just had to set some people straight. That's all. It's no big deal. People, oh man, MVP. Who said that? Bengals fan.
The Sugar Bowl.
When Baker was winning games and, you know, throwing tons of touchdowns, Bengals fans found everywhere. He hasn't done anything yet. Burrow's 0 for 2. Way worse start to his first 2 games of his career than Baker's, but yet we're anointing him MVP. Like, Bengals fans are adorable. They're cute. Shrody says on Facebook, again, we're live on Facebook, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. You can tune in and watch the show weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. Shrody says, Kinner, Faker Baker has 3 touchdowns on the year. Tannehill has 6 already. Thanks for the free beer. I remember we had a bet. I can't remember what the bet was. It apparently had something to do with beer. And I'm all about beer. I'll make sure you get your beer. Just remind me what the deal was or what the bet was. I mean, but yeah, let's see Tannehill. When does he play a real defense? I'm curious.
Next week they play the Steelers.
Okay, so we'll see what that touchdown total is after that. Luckily, Baker has Washington and not Myles Garrett. I'm sorry, but it's gonna be Chase Young. Hopefully, Chase Young keeps his hand off Faker Baker.
Tannehill's gonna put up some more touchdowns this week. They got Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, there you go.
AJ Brown's about to get loose again.
Shaw says, don't start with Joey B again. Would hate to have to smack you down. Well, if we had to put a rating on it, I'd give you a 49.9, which, of course, you would argue that's pretty good, like the QBR for Burrow. So, David, you go right on ahead. You do what you got to do, man. All right, a lot of big matchups in college football this weekend. And now this isn't a big matchup, but this is a big name program that is going to be sitting out this Saturday. I had been adamant that, look, the reason back when the original decision was made for the Big Ten to postpone the fall season and to postpone the 2020 fall college football season to the spring, I was upset. I was bummed, but I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Because I'm not going to waste a lot of energy being upset that there's no Big Ten football when ultimately I think we're all going to, like, for instance, I don't know about you, but I have road rage pretty bad. I get pretty angry. I get mad when people like zip around me and speed up and they, make fools of themselves. And then you know what happens? We all pull up to the same red light. And then you look over and like, see, you drove like an ass, and we're all ending up at the same spot at the same time. So that was my philosophy. This is a good one. It's a good analogy. That was my philosophy on this. Why am I going to get mad about the SEC and everyone passing the Buckeyes, speeding past them on the highway when we're all going to end up at that same red light anyways? Well, that red light obviously is not happening. But to be honest, it's going to be green and we're all just going to keep going. No traffic jam, there's a little traffic jam. So the bottom line is I was wrong. Clearly there's going to be a season, but it doesn't mean that look, there's still going to be hiccups along the way. For instance, Notre Dame has had 13 players test positive for the virus. And that's just this go round. So those 13 players are in isolation. Who knows what's going to happen, as far as how that spreads. So I'm curious. I thought players were safer on their campus than they were at home. I thought that you couldn't get it on campus. I'm really confused. Or maybe Brian Day just meant Ohio State. Like, Ohio State is the most special place in the world because it's the only place in the world where the virus doesn't exist and there's no way their players will get it. Hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them in the behind, because Notre Dame was kind of doing the same thing. Notre Dame has had multiple outbreaks.
Yeah.
They have had multiple outbreaks. They need to pray a little more or something, because they've had multiple outbreaks. But the game with Wake Forest, again, this isn't one of the bigger matchups this weekend, but again, it is Notre Dame. They're going to have to sit out this Saturday. That's one less game that they're going to play. I mean, how are they going to, again, it says that the schedule for Saturday has been postponed. How do you make those games up? Football's a difficult game to just make. We'll play a doubleheader on Saturday like that. It is Wake Forest.
They have I want to say ACC has built-in bye weeks this year. like to have something wacky where they're like teams like go back-to-back weeks where they're like on a bye week in case something like this was going to happen. But my biggest question for everything involving college sports, especially college football, is, all right, now that the Big Ten is back, their rules are different from the ACC. ACC, who is Notre Dame, they're a part of the ACC this year. Those players can't have contact with the team for 10 days. But in the Big Ten, it's 21 days, 3 weeks. So, God forbid, some of our key players test positive for COVID-19 and they're out for 21 days. That's 3 games. Say they lose
an 8-game season.
Yeah. Say they lose 1 or 2 of those games. I can hear it now. Why are rules so strict and the other conference not so strict? Like, these are the things that are going to happen, because obviously, like I talked about yesterday, when someone on your favorite team tests positive for COVID-19, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were out partying, being irresponsible. They could have just caught the virus, So we're not out the woods yet. We're not out the woods until we crown a national champion. And then in that aspect, especially here in Buckeye country, we're not out the woods until we make it to the national championship and win the national championship without any of our guys testing positive for COVID-19.
Oh, I think you're going to continue to see players test positive. If I had to put money, 100% chance there's a national champion. There's no, I don't see. Look, we're at the point now where, we canceled March Madness because it was unheard of at that time, and we were, there was just so many unknowns. Now it's okay. We've accepted the fact that there's going to be positive tests. Now it's okay. What do we do? You just do what the plan is. Okay, positive test, and here's what we do. Like Notre Dame, postponement, move on. Here's what it is. I think you're going to see a lot of that. I don't know how much of that you'll see with Ohio State, but I would expect at some point there's going to be a player just with the the caliber of player.
There are no bye weeks in the Big Ten.
I know. It's going to impact him, but there's going to be a season one way or another. So Gunnar Hoke, whoever, be ready. And you got to be ready because Justin Fields could be at another Georgia practice and catch it. Just saying. Does anyone still remember that, by the way? I just want to throw that out there. I don't know why no one thinks that's a big deal. I still think it's a big deal. He was flirting. He was winking at Georgia. He was cheating. That's cheating. He was emotionally cheating with Georgia. Buckeye fans, and he smiles and winks at you, and you're like, oh, he still loves me. I saw a graphic, little comic yesterday that said, oh, Justin Fields, he never once thought about leaving. Really? You think he was really there just supporting Georgia, his former teammates? Give me a break. Anyways, OHIO. All right, hour number 2 coming up. We'll talk with ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll talk about some of the big college football matchups this weekend, as well as some of the top headlines out of the NFL. Don't worry, Browns Bengals fans, we got you. Plus, we'll talk some LeBron. He's inching closer and closer to getting back to the NBA Finals. Hour 2 next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
When you get your flu shot at Walgreens, you don't just leave with a bandage. You leave with a badge of honor, because it means you don't just help protect yourself. You fight for the safety of the ones you love. It proves you'll do no matter what for those who matter most. Get your free flu shot with most insurance today at Walgreens and get a $5 coupon off same-day purchases of $20. Be a flu fighter. Defend your crew against the flu. Walgreens. Now valid in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. See coupon for restrictions. Vaccine subject to availability.
And now a game of commercial chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So, traffic has been crazy lately, right? And rush hour? Forget it. Nobody wants to let you merge onto the highway. But hey, somebody let you merge or you wouldn't be there. So, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hooray fans, listen up. This season, Pepsi is looking for one Bengals fan to sign a fan endorsement deal. The winner gets gear, season tickets, a photo shoot, a billboard, and so much more. All you have to do is participate in the weekly challenges at MadeForBengalsWatching.com, and you could be named the official Hooray fan. So, are you Bengals enough? Pepsi, made for football watching. Grab some delicious, refreshing Pepsi at Kroger before the next Bengals game day. Pepsi, made for football watching. Head to Kroger and grab Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Cincinnati Bengals. Open to residents of Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. 18 plus. For rules, visit MadeForBengalsWatching.com. Contest ends 11/21/20.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers with home daily lanes. $2,000 sign-on bonus, great pay and benefits. Contact Cody. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation. Driven to succeed.
What do you want to da-da-da? What do y'all want to da-da-da? I have no idea what to da-da-da. We could switch to Progressive da. Oh, yeah? We could switch to Progressive and sa. We could sa and have to buy some za. Oh, yeah. Let's switch to Progressive to da and get some za with the money we saw. Yeah. Now we know we're going to da-da-da.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you da-da-da.
Quote to da at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best networks, same as big carriers, but for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for up to 50% less than the big carriers. No contract, full coverage, 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, so we've seen a lot of sports, at every level, whether it's high school, college, pro, take a lot of different measures in trying to, of course, protect the players, protect the officials, fans, so on and so on. And one of the crazier things, like, for instance, so I remember the first high school football game Keith Byers and I called. It was just a small thing. He just started noticing, hey, the officials never touch the ball. The center is the only one that touches the ball. So when an incomplete pass, players don't pick it up and kind of toss it to the official, that type of thing. Well, when high school basketball gets here, you're going to notice something very different as well. I don't know if you'll notice it or not. No word about how it'll be handled here in the state of Ohio, but in Kentucky, they have already ruled that a coin flip will determine who gets the ball first. There will be no jump ball. Like, I'm all for taking measures and trying to, what I mean? Like, I thought that the idea of, speeding up halftime and some other thing, trying to limit the amount of congregated time that you have. Like, I get all that, but this is stupid. And by the way, if you're going to do something stupid like this, at least have fun with it. How entertaining would this be? Shoot for it. Captains meet out at half court. And this should be on Twitter, Facebook Live, everything, and a little rock, paper, scissors. It would be so intense. Rock, paper, scissors. Both team captains. You're not touching anyone's hand. You're, wear a mask. Do what you got to do. A little rock, paper, scissors action to determine who gets the ball. If you're going to do something stupid like a coin flip, you might as well go the extra stupid mile and do a little rock, paper, scissors. That's how I view that.
Absolutely. So I don't get it. They're going to be playing basketball. They're going to be playing basketball. So what is taking out the jump ball going to do?
I don't know. I think that every time the shot goes up, It doesn't matter what the result is. Someone's going to flip a coin. Heads, it goes in. Tails, it's a miss. Man, 3 straight heads. You're on fire right now. This is stupid. I mean, everything, and I've said this before, a lot of measures that are being taken are not actually done to protect anybody. It's done to give the illusion that we're protecting you. If we're talking about, I mean, if I can give a presentation and say, here's the 10 things we're doing to help protect you and ensure your safety during this time, a couple will be legit and the others will just be made to make you feel good. For those of you, I've complained about this for months now. Every time I go to drive-through, and again, I go through a lot of drive-through restaurants, okay? I like my fast food. It drives me nuts. Taco Bell is the one that does this more than anyone else. Taco Bell is the only one I always think of when it comes to this. I'll watch the employee grab your food and put it in the basket, and then they hand the basket out the window so that you can grab the food out of the basket. And I'm like, that's dumber than the coin flip for a basketball game. That's stupid. What are you accomplishing with that? But again, Taco Bell went that extra mile. They now have this cute little cup rack that's in that same thing. So now they put your little bag of food, and then they put your drink in the little cup holder in the basket for contactless delivery. It's so stupid. So I'll watch them. The guy will literally grab my drink, put it in the cup holder. He'll grab my bag, put it in the basket, and then hand the basket out the window for me to grab. There's probably people listening right now in a drive-through line at Taco Bell. Pay attention. It's going to happen. It's pointless. But you know what? You feel safe going to Taco Bell now, don't you? You're not safe. It ain't protecting you. And, the real damage comes at the bathroom later on. I mean, that's where the real damage comes into play. But it's not protecting you. How about all the fast food or all the pizza deliveries and stuff? Oh, you call us now for contactless delivery. Just because you throw the damn thing on our porch and, don't actually hand it to us doesn't mean you didn't touch our food. You touched our food. That's the dumbest thing. We do DoorDash. We try to, it's contactless delivery. You know why I like it? Because I don't have to talk to people. I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to knock on the door and say, hi, how are you? I don't care how your night's going. I'm just here to deliver your food so I can get my money and go on with my merry old day. I got a wedding to pay for. I'm doing a lot of DoorDash stuff, okay? So that's the thing. Like, this stuff drives me nuts. So this coin flip, what science behind it is all of a sudden now these players, all of a sudden, they're 10 times more protected from the virus because there's a coin flip before a game. Because after that coin flip, you throw the ball in, you're still sweating.
Right.
Still all gross, posting up, down low, coming off screens, boxing out for rebounds. Give me a break.
It's terrible. I despise it because now you have a form of chance playing a role in the game because there's no jump ball in high school basketball. It's possession arrow, just like it is in college basketball, which is another stupid situation. But now that's involved. You could do something as we did in pickup basketball. When we play pickup basketball, we shoot for it. You make it, you get the ball. You miss it, the other team gets the ball. Could be as simple as that. Or you could just be like, all right, since you guys are the home team, automatically the road team gets the ball first. You could say something as simple as that. But this coin flip is horrible. I despise it. I hate it.
I'm with you. I mean, like, there's a lot of things. Like, so for instance, didn't football get rid of the coin flip?
No, it's still there.
No, it's still there, but they were talking. That's what it was. They were talking about getting rid of the coin flip. For one, I don't think there needs to be a coin flip.
One person goes out. It's one captain for each team and just the official.
How about this? It's this simple. I said the same thing in football. You're already taking home field away. It's not that you're taking. Home field has been eliminated because of limited fans. Like, you no longer have, like in high school basketball, high school football, college football, NFL. It doesn't matter, regardless of the sport. There is no such thing as home field advantage or home court advantage anymore. I mean, some fans, there's fans at football games, by the way, it's still good atmosphere at these high school games. I don't know if you haven't been to a high school game yet. Great atmosphere still. Yes, you would love more fans there, but still good atmosphere. But with that being said, you're taking away aspects from the home crowd that usually benefit the home team. So you know what? Just make it simple. Home team, you get the ball first. What's wrong with that?
Absolutely.
Or let the home team choose. Hey, and by the way, it doesn't matter in basketball. It doesn't, football, it matters. So you give up a score late at the end of the half, and then you have to kick the ball off right to them again after possession matters, whether, it's a strategy. I would always rather receive first in the second half than the first half. They always do the whole, I want my defense to set the tone. No, you just want the ball back in the first possession of the second half. Double dip. Because you either double dip or you prevent yourself from getting double dipped. Yeah. Like, there's nothing worse than when you give up a score. I mean, for one, I think of the Ohio State-Michigan game. For one, this happened big time. It was a shootout. Remember? Ohio State-Michigan this last year was a shootout, back and forth. And Michigan turns the ball over, so then Ohio State takes the lead. and then they go down and score and go up 14. They go up 14, and then so again, shootout. Ohio State scores to take the lead. Michigan then turns the ball over the next possession. Ohio State goes down, scores. Michigan was scoring on every possession until they turned the ball over. So they turned it over. Ohio State goes up 14. That was to close out the first half. Ohio State gets the ball back in the start of the second half. Boom, go right down the field, score again. Then it was 21-0. I'm not defending Michigan at all, but that totally changed the outcome of the game. So those possessions matter in football. In basketball, it doesn't. Don't even do the coin flip. Home team, just take the ball down the floor first. I mean, this whole thing is stupid. I get it. It's all about trying to make people feel safe during this. There's some things that need to be done to help protect, but you're playing a contact sport. Basketball is not as physical as football, but it's contact. You're rubbing up against people the entire game. Mm-hmm. So taking out the coin toss or doing a coin toss, taking out the jump ball is stupid. I don't see the purpose of it. I think it's more dumb than actually having the jump ball if you're trying to convince me otherwise. But Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. How about this? Ron Howard says baseball visiting team always bats first. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I saw too for the Major League Baseball playoffs. The higher seed. Okay, so this isn't dumb, but so the higher seed will just. They're the home team, but that's duh. Right. So if the Dodgers play the Reds in the first round of the play, the Dodgers are the home team, so they'll bat last. But they had to put out Major League Baseball put out this press release. Breaking news: baseball announces how they're going to handle home and away team. Why? Duh. You didn't change anything. You've made it a neutral location, but you didn't change anything.
Just clarification.
By the way, Charles Tackett says, Kenner, glad you guys are back. Thought you might have gotten fired. Congratulations on getting engaged. I don't know what I would have got fired for. And if I would have, I say a lot of stupid things. I'm surprised I haven't been, Candy.
It was that one time you said that one thing, and I got.
I'm about to say it again. You're allowed to say it.
No, you can't.
It's a certain bar.
Don't say it.
It's a biddy bar.
There you go.
I said biddy, but we all know what it means. You're allowed to say that. Speaking of that, by the way, did you see Robert Kraft? That he's going to get off on the parlor charges. And that's why I was like, isn't that what got him in trouble in the first place? But that's great news for Robert Kraft. He's going to get away with this. He's not going to get charged with anything. And we all know how much he loves a happy ending. And it sounds like it's going to be a happy ending for Robert Kraft, Patriots owner. Just saying. But did you see how you get away with that? Money buys everything. Money's what got him into that situation. And money got him out. How do you get? That amazes me. By the way, with as much as we love scandals in sports, I'm surprised that never took off. Provided a lot of good jokes.
If it was Jerry Jones, it would have took off more.
If it had been Jerry Jones, I'd have been impressed.
Skeletor.
Wearing the cowboy hat with the cigar. Ladies, I'm here. I ain't going to pick you. You guys pick me. I don't know what Jerry Jones would do. Jerry Jones is... Oof. But Robert Kraft, he just gets away with it. He just gets away with it. I don't get it.
What if it was Odell?
Oh, no. Well, he would need a little bit. He would need that Robert Kraft money for the special request that he'd be having. Charles says, money makes the world go round. David Shaw says, so SEC football. What, David? What? Please explain. You're very vague. So SEC football. I don't. The SEC, they're going to score more than Robert Kraft at a parlor. I don't know what you want me to say about the SEC right now. What?
Kicking off this weekend.
We're getting into some college football talk with Jason Fitz coming up here in just a moment. So there's that. All right, we do got a lot more coming in. We're going to talk with Jason Fitz regarding the SEC kicking off this weekend. We'll talk about some of the big matchups, of course, coming up in week 3 of the NFL season. Shaw goes on to say LSU has to play 6 top 15 teams. Yes, you know why that is, David, because he plays in a real conference. The SEC actually has good teams in it. The Buckeyes have a bunch of cupcakes, but I'm still trying to look for the ice cream cakes within the Big Ten. Who are the good cakes in the Big Ten? Ohio State's it. So, yes, LSU, they have a tough draw, but you know what? There's a lot of real teams in the SEC, not so much in the Big Ten. You are talking about everything but football. Okay. We're about to talk football, David. It's a 3-hour show. David, you're annoying the hell out of me today. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what your deal is. Nope, not playing that one. The Jerry Jones comment. David, another David Kendrick. I can't go to that one. Yeah, there's a lot of inappropriate comments in this post. I'm gonna avoid these.
You brought it up. You brought it on yourself.
All right, coming up next, ESPN's Jason Fitz. He joins us next. We'll talk college football and the SEC. Don't worry, David. I got you covered. Penn State is real. Yeah, real boring. What's Penn State going to do, David? Wide out with no fans? What are they going to do? Ron Howard saw Notre Dame is canceled. Yes, Ron. We talked about that already. They canceled. No Wake Forest. No matchup this weekend. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Sunny skies for this first day of autumn with a high of 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and dry with a low of 51. And for your midweek Wednesday, partly cloudy and a high of 82. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. It's O Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you can earn bonus points on more than 250 offers, like Bosch Icon Wiper Blade, save $8 per pair, and earn double O Rewards points. Online or in-store, get $5 for every 150 points you earn. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Does learning a language feel like this?
No habla español? Hablo. It's hablo? It's hablo.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
Since my husband is from Guatemala, I'll apply what I've learned in Babbel to our real life situations.
The app is so practical. It helps you learn things that you will actually need.
Now try Babbel for free. Just text VOICE to 484848 to start learning a new language today. That's VOICE to 484848. VOICE to 484848.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for the best venue for your upcoming event or party? Check out our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. It's a unique, state-of-the-art VIP 8-lane luxury suite. It's not too soon to book your holiday party. Call today and let the good times roll. Let us book your holiday event at any of our centers. Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, or Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. Ho, ho.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference, like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. You know, we've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Bromley's for Men would physically shave your face for you if we could. Since we can't, we made our 7-blade razor and Get a Grip handle the simple choice for the smoothest shave. Bromley's for Men in the shaving aisle at Kroger.
Mike Foley is proud to serve you as our Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, and he's asking for your vote again this November. Mike is a father, an Army veteran, and has been a small business owner for over 20 years. He's not a career politician, but a leader that gets things done. Mike Foley has saved taxpayers over $3 million in less than 2 years in office by running the clerk's office more efficiently. He truly brings the courthouse to the community. For all the right reasons, let's re-elect Mike Foley, Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
This is Mike Foley, and I approve this message.
People are talking about Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service.
We've been taking our cars to Carol Wirtz for several years. Our experience is always outstanding. Every employee truly cares about the safety of your car and making sure you are satisfied. They are trustworthy and treat you like family. Thank you, Carol Wirtz, for always taking care of me and my family and making sure we are safe.
Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service treats every vehicle like their own and each customer like family. Call 937-461-5441 or visit c-wtire.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Hi folks, it's me again to let you know that we've just unloaded a semi-load of fresh new landscape plants of all types. We have nice dwarf Alberta spruce, Mugo pines, taxus, pyramid arborvitae for privacy hedge, lots of nice boxwoods, magnolias, white pines, dwarf blue spruce, topiary shrubs, fat Albert blue spruce, and dwarf Japanese red maples, and dozens of other varieties of shrubs. We also have thousands of shade trees, flowering trees, and fruit trees, and weeping trees. One of the most popular trees is the Cleveland Select flowering pear, which blooms in the spring with nice white blossoms. Every yard should have one. Our 6-acre garden center at 1309 Brand Pike is Dayton's biggest, and we've been in business since 1963. Come out and see why.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We got Reds baseball coming up for you here just around the corner. 6:10 will be the pregame, 6:40 the first pitch. Right now, I believe I just saw that the Phillies are down 3-0 already. So it's one of the teams that the Reds are kind of nipping at the heels of, or at least they're nipping at the heels of the Reds. The Reds moved into the 7th seed. So we'll talk some more Reds coming up around the corner. Let's stay in the world of football. I'm excited to bring on our next guest, who's going to be a regular visitor of the show every Tuesday moving forward. We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you taking time. Now, listen, last night, Monday Night Football, Saints and the Raiders. You're a big Raiders fan, and I can think of no better time to bring you on. I'm sure you're pretty pumped because the Saints are rolling. They already beat the Buccaneers and Tom Brady in Week 1, and they couldn't get it done against your Raiders last night.
Yeah, I think the most surprising part about it isn't just that the Raiders won, it's that they outplayed the Saints. I mean, they were the better team last night, and I can't believe I'm saying that. I picked, frankly, the Saints to win the game, to be transparent. I just, when I looked at the schedule coming in and even coming into the game, with the weaknesses the Raiders have in the secondary with youth, I really expected that the Saints would be able to expose that, and it would turn into a shootout that ultimately the Saints would win. Instead, John Gruden came in with the game plan that was really masterful, and I was stunned. I was stunned to watch every second of that go down, and really immensely proud, not just to be a Raiders fan today, but as somebody that was born and raised as a kid in Vegas. I mean, what that moment meant for that city that's had such a rough 2020 because of everything going on in the world, I think was really, you can't put that significance into words. So it was a really, truly special night for Las Vegas, for Vegas fans, and for Raiders fans.
Hey, Jason, everything that's going on in the NFL, so many scoring touchdowns, so many dynamic quarterbacks, it seems like the Steelers and the Ravens and Buffalo are the only teams that are attempting to play defense this season. What say you about the offense potency of teams in the league this year?
That's a really great question because it's one of the more surprising things to me. And frankly, I've talked to a bunch of our experts to try and figure it out. I mean, we're used to the concept of defense usually is ahead, especially at the beginning of training camp. I was watching the Thursday night game last week with Mike Ola Jr., and he was talking about usually the first couple of days in camp when you go one-on-one drills, the defensive line is always beating the offensive lineman. For some reason, that hasn't been the case this year. And what we've seen, if you really sit there and watch the big guys up front, you've seen that there's been less lane responsibility coming from defensive linemen. So it feels like guys aren't necessarily playing as disciplined as they need to up front from the pass rush. And so without a generated pass rush, it just feels like the way they've spread out these offenses and the sort of college concepts that have come in are just giving quarterbacks the opportunity to get rid of the ball quickly. They're doing it efficiently. So I've been really surprised, and I'm not sure when it normalizes. It will normalize at some point, but it's going to take teams being willing to take risks and really press up on receivers. So I think that's going to be a trend for the next several weeks, maybe the next first half of the season. And as long as it's happening, it's really making for, you're right, video game football where defensive teams can't win just because they have good defense.
ESPN's Jason Fitz with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa. There was, I believe, last I counted, 15 season-ending injuries the first couple weeks of the season already. I mean, that's obviously, we've seen, how many years ago was it, Jason, where there was just seemed like every big name out there was just getting hurt left and right? It's kind of having that same feel right now as we start the season. Is that because of lack of preseason or no preseason, I should say, or is it just the nature of football?
Well, I think a lot of us are going to argue right now that it's the lack of preseason and ramp-up time. I mean, the practices have been so different. Sarah Spain that I work with at night, I mean, I think she makes a good point that let's get a little bit more sample size because it could just be one of those years. But you're right. It was 2016 when all the quarterbacks started just dropping like flies. And the funny thing is we will remember that not only was that an election year, which takes the tension away, but with all the quarterbacks being hurt, ratings were down. And I wonder if it'll have the same effect here because you're not just talking about season-ending injuries. You're talking about season-ending injuries to stars. When you've got guys that are candidates to be on the cover of Madden that are suddenly gone for the entire year for major teams that are expected to be able to make a push, I mean, that's when you start looking around and say, man, that is rough. If you're a 49ers fan, I mean, are you really going to be excited to continue to watch if your team is decimated? So I'm interested to see what the effect of that is over the course of the season for the NFL, because obviously, with everything else going on and the amount of sports that are going on right now and the fact that, just because, as we always have on election years, attention's being paid to other things, I wonder what the trickle effect will be towards the conversation around the NFL this season.
Jason, I want to switch over to college football real quick. We got the SEC getting ready to kick off this weekend. The Big 12 has been playing football. ACC's been playing football. We got the Big 10 coming back later in October. But my biggest question is when a player tests positive for COVID in the ACC, they're out 10 days. But in the Big 10, it's 3 weeks, 21 days. How do you see that having an effect on the college football season?
Well, that's also an awesome question because one thing, I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to go to Dallas and be a part of the mock playoff process. And one of the things that really stunned me when you're sitting in the room and the way they do it, they had 13 of us in there just like the playoff committee. They had the same committee chairs and everybody's running it and we're voting on an old season. They pick an old season, we just argue it and we have it out over it. One of the things that is a real conversation for the playoff committee is injuries. So not all losses are treated equally. I mean, for example, if a team loses a game but they didn't have their starting quarterback for the second half, that loss is treated a little differently by the committee. What are they going to do when they're looking at the fact that, to your point, the ACC doesn't have the same waiting period? But the other side of it is the Big Ten is going to have daily testing for all of their players. So they believe that they can get around some of the contact tracing issues. So you may see less players that are suspended, but they're suspended for longer. So how does that affect everybody in this process? And the Big Ten has no wiggle room to make up games. So I think it's going to have a massive effect. And I genuinely, I am thankful I'm not on the playoff committee this year. I don't know how they're going to normalize it to figure out who should go and who shouldn't go. What I do know is that no matter what decision they make, college football fans will be mad. And I think they'll have a pretty good argument for it because there's no clear-cut, concise way that everybody's dealing with this.
Do you know when the first college football playoff poll comes out?
The college football playoff poll, mid-November. It's a couple of weeks later. It's usually the Tuesday after Halloween or right around Halloween, and it's mid-November this year.
Okay, I wasn't sure because of the Big Ten starting late. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that. And I think that's obviously going to be key as well. I mean, obviously with the Big Ten just announcing that they're coming back, it's going to be strange watching like almost a month plus of football before the Big Ten actually kicks off at this point. But just how big is it for football that, of course, not just the Big Ten is now a part of the party as well, but mainly getting a championship contender in Ohio State when really looks like it's just a head-on collision waiting to happen in the national championship game with Ohio State and Clemson.
Well, I think, guys, that frankly, you're right about that. It does look like it's a collision course. And last year, I had the opportunity last year to travel with Game Day and for the digital work that I do. And I'm still hosting Countdown to Game Day, which you can check out the ESPN app on Saturday mornings before game day from 8:30 to 9. And so I'm working a lot with the game day team. And last year when we were standing on the sidelines, we were watching all the Clemson Ohio State action. The conversation even then was, man, next year this is going to be a battle, right? I mean, everybody's had their eyes on it, but the other side of it is I think college football needs it. I mean, the matchups for the first couple of weeks have been bad. And I think what we've seen so far is that Clemson's really good, but the rest of the ACC is not living up to the hype. North Carolina is not as good as we thought they would be. I think we're overhyping where Miami is right now. And even Notre Dame hasn't looked as fast as we thought. And then the Big 12 feels like it's Oklahoma, maybe Texas, and then a bunch of nobodies. So, I think right now college football is starved for the SEC and the Big Ten to get back just because maybe we'll get some competitive matchups. And it only takes one slip up by a Clemson or an Oklahoma, and there's going to be a real opportunity, I think, for two teams to get in from one conference. So if I'm a Wisconsin that's looking around and saying, hey, don't sleep on me, I mean, I think there's going to be opportunity for that. The Big Ten coming back is finally going to give us better matchups, and we're desperate for that right now.
Everything going on inside the NBA bubble. Obviously, it's a big game tonight. Lakers, Nuggets. They had their hearts broken by AD with the buzzer beater the other night. Will Denver be able to pull what they did in the first round versus the Jazz, what they did to the Clippers? Will they be able to come back and defeat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals?
I mean, this is where I say no, but this is also where I also have to be like, I'm always honest with y'all, right? Like, I missed this the first two rounds. I mean, I didn't think the Nuggets had it in them to come back from down 3-1, but for me, this all goes back to a year ago right now when we were sitting on ESPN radio telling everybody this is the year of the dynamic duo. And the best dynamic duo in the league clearly belongs to the Lakers. So as much as I love what Denver's doing, I'm looking at the Lakers, who got surprisingly good coaching this season out of Frank Vogel because none of us knew what to expect. And then you look at a Lakers team that clearly has the two best players. I just think their path to the championship is a clear one at this point. So I think the Lakers are going to win. But at the same time, I mean, I remember in the last game, the Lakers were up by 12 at one point, and I'm looking around thinking, all right, this is what we expect. And the Nuggets have a level of fight in them we've never seen, and it's like that little brother that just keeps getting up and begging for more. And so I won't count them out of anything, but I do think the Lakers are going to win this series.
All right, we have ESPN's Jason Fitz with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. He'll be hanging out with us every Tuesday at 4:30. We're excited to have him here. Real quick, Jason, I want to go back to the NFL real quick. It's a lot of eyes are on Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. We got to see another rookie quarterback kind of make his debut at the last second over the weekend in Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, despite his great performance in a loss to Kansas City, he's still not the starter moving forward. What more does Justin Herbert have to do, and why is he not the starter in a day and age where when teams draft rookie quarterbacks so high, they're instantly thrown out into the fire? Why is this situation different?
Well, I don't know that it should be, but I will say, as much as we've talked today already about COVID, I mean, the inability to get the normal number of reps does play into player development, right? So quarterback development, I don't have a problem with somebody being patient in that department. However, he looked so good last week, and he seemed to have a control of the offense when he didn't even know he was going to be playing. So I don't know why you don't play him, because what do you see for Cincinnati? I mean, yes, Joe Burrow is going to take his lumps. I think Joe Burrow is not going to be a good quarterback. He's going to be a great quarterback. I think he is a spectacular franchise caliber quarterback that should have been, after his year last year at LSU, talked about the same way we talked about Andrew Luck. He was that good, and I think he was spectacular in his last year there. So, I look at Justin Herbert and I'm thinking, all right, if you want the opportunity to evaluate him, it's a very good football team talent-wise. I mean, it was supposed to be good enough that Brady would want to go there instead of Tampa. So they've supposedly got the talent. I don't know why you would be hesitant with him as long as he knows the playbook. And I can buy the argument that he doesn't, but then he went in against the Chiefs and showed that he does. So I think it's a mistake by the Chargers, frankly. And for a team that's working their way into the market in a new stadium and trying to get people to care about them, I think having that young quarterback out there would be a help for them from a business standpoint and from a football standpoint. So I think it's a huge mistake.
No, absolutely. You talked about Joe Burrow, but Justin Herbert in just one start, I thought looked more impressive in his one start against the defending Super Bowl champions than we've seen from Joe Burrow, who a lot of people here in the Dayton, Cincinnati area are super high on for obvious reasons. And I agree with you. I think he's going to be great, but I don't think he's looked as sharp. But I think that says more about the pieces around him or lack thereof as far as that's concerned with Joe Burrow. Sorry, we talk a lot of Joe Burrow, Jason. I'm getting lit up on Twitter and Facebook right now, so that's why I'm laughing. But Joe Burrow, was the struggles for him so far, is it more team reasons than his reasons, correct?
Yeah, I think that 1,000%. Look, the struggles for Joe Burrow, one is that they have a terrible offensive line, and we all know that. And two, I think he's still working out the timing, right? He makes smart decisions, really smart, intuitive decisions. And that's, I think, the part of it, you can't always coach. That's the part of it that you see from him in the game, and he can make every stinking throw in the book. And he's athletic. So I think those are all huge positives. He just has to learn the speed of the game. And again, without the preseason reps, I can't oversell how important that is to a young player in general. I think for every single fan base, look at your first round picks this year and just acknowledge for your first and second round picks that are expected to get a lot of playing time. It's going to take till week 5 or 6 before you really get to see much on them. But yes, absolutely. I think Burrow has the opportunity to be great. The Bengals now just have to do the right thing, which is build an offensive line around him. And frankly, they've spent the money. They just haven't done it the right way in the past. So they've got to get it figured out.
Yeah, $160 million in the offseason, and you ignore the number one issue on your team, which is offensive line when you go and get your guy. The Bengals, they have more problems up top. Joe Burrow, he has his work cut out for him. So as far as that goes.
Started.
Yep, you got me started. Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, host of Spain and Fitz, weeknights from 7 to 9 right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Jason, thanks so much. We're looking forward to hanging out with you every Tuesday.
Going to be a blast, guys. I really appreciate it. Stay safe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Later. Take care. All right. Again, good stuff there. And of course, as soon as Doug Morgan says, suck on that, Kenner. I don't know, folks. I've never said the kid's not going to be good. I'm just saying he hasn't been as good as people have said. Justin Herbert, if we're basing it off of performance, I mean, hell, Justin Herbert's best performance is his only start of the season. And by the way, I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. We're going to talk about that. We're going to step away for a few minutes. The Chargers, start Justin Herbert or fire the coach. Start Justin Herbert or fire the coach.
Gracious.
Because that's stupidity. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Justin Herbert, he's the guy, you drafted him for a reason, and you're going to start Tyrod Taylor? T-Mobile. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the summer clearance event at Key Chrysler. I'm Chris Toby. At Key, our primary focus is your safety and ours. We are practicing safe social distancing. Probably like you, we hate it, but we are wearing our masks, and we are diligently cleaning the dealership. If you're more comfortable handling your sales and service needs from home, we can help you. Visit TobyAuto.com, where you can complete all the aspects of a vehicle purchase, including financing and trade appraisals, schedule service, or simply get a question answered. Most importantly, stay safe out there. We will get through this together.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
It could be a routine drive to pick up the kids after school or an epic road trip across the country. No matter where your travels take you, we know those miles count. We're Marathon. We have over 5,700 stations across our great nation. Our people are working hard every day to provide you with quality top-tier gasoline to improve engine performance and fuel your life. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
If you plan to vote by mail, the U.S. Postal Service is here to deliver your vote safely and on time. We recommend you follow these steps to get ready. First, check your state's voting rules and deadlines. Second, request your mail-in or absentee ballot at least 15 days before Election Day. Finally, return your ballot at least 7 days before Election Day. Start today. Contact your election board and find resources at USPS.com/voting info.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Montgomery County Veterans. The Montgomery County Veteran Services Commission is here to serve you. You served your country, and now it's time we serve you. You're entitled to various VA benefits as a direct result of your service, to include compensation, pension, burial, and education. Call 937-225-4801 or online at mcvsc.org. The time is now. Come to the old St. Elizabeth Hospital next to the Kindred Hospital, and we'll be there to serve you. That number again is 937-225-4801.
I'm Charla. I'm a Park National banker, and I'm a new grandma. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you always counted on from us, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Menards has over 1,200 in-stock moldings for almost any project, and all 11% off. They're available in different wood species such as poplar, pine, oak, maple, and MDF in ready-to-finish, primed, and pre-finished options. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through September 26th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
John McManus is running hard to be our Montgomery County Treasurer. Montgomery County is already one of the highest tax counties in the state. It seems like every day we're being told to pay higher and higher taxes. Now, in the middle of a pandemic, we're told to get ready for another tax increase next year. When John McManus was vice president of the largest school board in Montgomery County, he fought against property tax increases. As our next county treasurer, he'll stand with us again. This November, vote John McManus for Montgomery County Treasurer.
I'm John McManus, and I approve this message.
Pro-grade brands, big savings, and all the right services to keep your business moving are just some of the reasons why Lowe's is the new home for pros.
The biggest local and national guests sit down for the biggest interviews with Justin Kinner on 1410 Wing Live. Presented by Arrowhead Tax Service. Follow along live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page and catch all previous episodes at wingam.com. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
So the Chargers are now basically the Cleveland Browns from 2 years ago. And it's coincidentally enough, it involves, I mean, some of the movie that we're watching with the Chargers, it has a lot of the same cast members from the Cleveland Browns from Baker Mayfield's rookie year. It's, the leading cast member being Tyrod Taylor. He plays the main character that basically gets hosed in all of this. Basically, Tyrod Taylor has found himself in the same situation with the Chargers that he did years ago with the Cleveland Browns, basically being brought in with, as being the veteran quarterback that has led teams to the playoffs, in the past. He has the Super Bowl. He was on the Ravens team that won the Super Bowl. So, but again, that's like me claiming all of the championships for my playing days.
The backup players.
There's backup, and then there's like third and fourth string guys.
He was the backup quarterback.
He was backing up nothing. He was watching the entire time. I mean, when you're the backup to Joe Flacco, you ain't good.
And you played a scout team quarterback, and who can you think of to play a better scout team quarterback in the NFL at that time than Tyrod Taylor playing a scout team quarterback for Colin Kaepernick, who was running the zone read, the things that Tyrod Taylor does.
Tyrod Taylor, no. Yawn. No one's lining up to get Tyrod Taylor. And the coaches that do try to go with Tyrod Taylor get fired, like Hugh Jackson. We all know how that worked out. Remember, Hugh Jackson was trying to do this whole little, we got to draft our rookie quarterback and we got to let him sit back and learn. And that's what the Chargers are trying to do, but that's losing football. That's stupidity. Tyrod Taylor, solid quarterback. Not terrible, but you know what you have with him. He's not going to get any better. He's a solid quarterback on a team that's not going to the playoffs anyway. So what is the purpose of playing Tyrod Taylor? He is getting you nowhere. You are not a playoff team. Your sole purpose right now is, especially when you were fortunate enough to be in the spot you were in, to move on from Phillip Rivers and draft a guy like Justin Herbert, who maybe 2 years before he was initially drafted was looked at as the guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't look as sharp his remaining years at Oregon, but again, still very, very good. So with that being said, the Chargers are fortunate enough to get him. It's not often. I mean, when you look at the Steelers will not be fortunate enough to have a quarterback landed. Maybe again, we've seen Big Ben wasn't looked at as the guy whenever he got there, and we all know how good he turned out. But more times than not, the situation is you lose your great quarterback, and it takes a while before you find your next one.
Yeah, everybody isn't the Colts.
So, yeah. And the Chargers are in a situation where they may have had the perfect handoff. The Packers had a perfect handoff. But of course, that was strategic. That was planned. They drafted a guy too early. The Packers have again thought that, hey, maybe we're the smartest guy in the room. We're going to draft Jordan Love, and we have our quarterback who will overlap with Aaron Rodgers for a year or two, and then we have our quarterback moving forward. The Chargers, this wasn't strategy. They're just lucky that it worked out that way. Because Phillip Rivers was a good quarterback. I mean, he'll never sit. He came in the same draft as Big Ben too, right? Yeah. So, but with that being,
Eli,
and again, from a skill perspective, not better than Big Ben, better than Eli. I would take Phillip over Eli. But with that being said, the Chargers no longer have him. You get Justin Herbert. And the importance of having a rookie quarterback in the first 4 years. I mean, look, we saw the urgency from the Bengals, who finally decided to spend some money. Of course, they screwed up and did it stupid, but that's besides the point. The Bengals sensed the urgency of getting Joe Burrow, and they, made sure that they were trying to fill up as many gaps as possible. The only problem is while spending money, they were digging bigger holes. That's a conversation for later. The Chargers have a quarterback in Justin Herbert, and very similar to the Browns, have a starting quarterback in Tyrod Taylor that basically we all know we're looking at saying, okay, he's not the starter for the year. It's just a matter of how long before you see the rookie quarterback come in. The same thing we saw with the Browns and Baker Mayfield years ago. And Hugh Jackson was trying to be the smartest guy in the room and saying, hey, I'm controlling Baker, because we all know this. When you are a head coach of a team that drafts the future quarterback as a rookie, your chances of being the head coach when that quarterback reaches peak success, you're not going to be there. Every time that happens, it never happens. So Hugh Jackson, his time in Cleveland was done, should have been done even before they drafted Baker, but that's besides the point. So with that being said, the Chargers are in a situation now where you didn't want to start Justin Herbert, but he found himself 5 minutes before kickoff being the guy going up against the defending Super Bowl champions and has an outstanding game. I mean, it was an amazing game considering the fact that you're a rookie going up against the defending Super Bowl champions. You had no first team reps, whatsoever. And he goes out there and does what he does, and they nearly beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And then for their coach and Anthony Lynn to come out afterwards and say, hey, if Tyrod, after watching that, to say if Tyrod's healthy, he's our guy. What are you smoking? I hope you get fired quicker than Hugh Jackson got fired, because that's the dumbest thing. That's losing football. It's a losing mentality. That mentality doesn't exist anymore. We're going to draft a rookie, and we're going to coddle him, and we're going to rock him to sleep every night, and we're going to feed him baby food, and we're going to do all that. That doesn't
Apparently
exist.
it does because
It doesn't. It doesn't work.
It's happening and with
When's
the
the last time it
Chargers.
worked?
It's happening with the Chargers. It's happening in Miami. It happened with the Browns.
It didn't happen with the Browns. It failed with the Browns.
This is a
It failed with the Browns.
This is a mentality that some organizations still have.
It's bad mentality. It doesn't work. Cleveland, they bailed on the plan 2.5 games into the season.
Yeah, and they also bailed on the coach too.
Yeah, the same coach who also made the stupid decision to not like the quarterback
and the OC.
Huh?
And the OC.
Well, the OC, Todd Haley, that's his damn fault because he was creating chaos behind the scenes. So that's on him, creating drama as far as that's concerned. That's how you ended up with the boob Freddie Kitchens leading the way moving forward. But with that being said, the Chargers, Anthony Lynn, fire him. Fire him. Stupid. Fire him. Like, you're a moron. How can you watch what you did this past weekend and seriously have the nerve to come out in the press conference after? Like, you don't have Tom Brady that you're trying to tiptoe around his feelings. It's Tyrod Taylor. Give me a break. It's Tyrod Taylor. Like, no one's looking at Tyrod Taylor as the franchise quarterback. You were a stopgap anyways for what they were planning on doing post Phillip Rivers to begin with. So I don't want to hear it. The Browns never looked at Tyrod Taylor as the franchise quarterback. He was a stopgap until they figured out what they were going to do with their draft picks. They had 2 of the top 4, and they got Baker Mayfield, and they moved on from Tyrod 2.5 games in. So at this point, for me, start him. He looked better than everyone's drooling over Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. They should be drooling over this kid with the Padres. About to lose my bandwagon. The Chargers. Oh my goodness. So there we go. Matt Sturgeon says same show. Bang on the Bengals. What? Tell me what they're 0-2. Mr. Sturgeon, take shots at UD. I haven't taken a shot at UD. I haven't even mentioned UD. I haven't mentioned the fact that UD is afraid to play Wright State and that they're looking for games and that they're going to, their ego's going to get in the way of them not scheduling Wright State. So, I don't know what you're talking about, Matt Sturgeon. Have a great day.
Is that a shot at UD?
Well, that's Matt Sturgeon's fault.
I was just asking.
Well, it's Matt's fault. The 0-2 Bengals are winning a Super Bowl. You happy, Matt? Have a good day. We'll be back in a moment. Hour 3 coming up next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Not so long ago, lots of things made people happy.
I used to love going to the gym.
I miss saying good morning to my coworkers. Today, there are still things that can make people happy.
Oh, how pretty.
A beautiful bouquet of flowers will definitely make someone happy.
First Florist and Greenhouses can help you make someone happy. Go to firsttheflorist.com, choose a bouquet, and they'll deliver it safely. Make someone happy with First Florist and Greenhouses.
It's the summer clearance event at New Carlisle Chrysler. I'm Chris Toby. At New Carlisle, our primary focus is your safety and ours. We are practicing safe social distancing. Probably like you, we hate it, but we are wearing our masks and we are diligently cleaning the dealership. If you're more comfortable handling your sales and service needs from home, we can help you. Visit TobyAuto.com where you can complete all aspects of the vehicle purchase, including financing and trade appraisals, schedule service, or simply get a question answered. Most importantly, stay safe out there. We will get through this together.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. We've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Ever wonder just how far an extra mile really goes? Drive a Mercedes-Benz van and find out. Start with a network of over 250 authorized dealerships, backed by a sales force ready to help you with everything from customization to service on vans like the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter that's tailored to your lifestyle, with options like blind spot assist and MBUX voice command for spoken directions, weather, and more.
The route is being calculated.
So whether you're enjoying life on the trail or working hard on the job, see how far an extra mile can really go by taking the first step into an authorized Mercedes-Benz van dealership today. Mercedes-Benz vans start at just $33,790. Now with 0% APR financing for up to 60 months.
MSRP in our 2019 Sprinter van excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details about costs and terms. Some equipment is practice optional. APR valid on 2019 Sprinter vans, excluding cab chassis, only for qualified commercial customers exclusively through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services at participating dealers through September 30th, 2020.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's deep.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best networks, same as big carriers, but for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for up to 50% less than the big carriers. No contract, full coverage, 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right, no matter where school happens. And all at amazing prices. School on, save on at Staples.
Reds fans, don't miss the Justin Kinner Show, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. You'll get the latest Reds news, headlines, lineups, player features, and recaps. Don't miss a game or a show on Dayton's home of the Reds, ESPN 1410, Wing AM. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you on 1410 ESPN Radio. Trying to have a cooler, calm, collected show today. How's that working out for you? It's going great. People drank their sensitive juice today, so now it's, I'm upset folk. Just saying. All right, Reds in action today. We'll get back into that coming up here in just a moment. But look, and by the way, that was a segment about Anthony Lynn and the Chargers. It got Bengals fans all upset.
How?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I said that, hey, I didn't even take a shot at the Bengals there. What I said was that, well, they did. They made a mistake. They spent $160 million, ignored the offensive line. The offensive line is why Joe Burrow's getting beat up, and I'm going to be done talking about it in a second. I'm just trying to prove my point that I was actually talking about the Chargers saying they needed to take notes from the Bengals. I actually respected the Bengals' decision to go all in with Joe Burrow because that's what you have to do. The Chargers are doing the opposite. The Chargers are doing everything they can not to play their rookie star quarterback, and the Bengals are doing everything they can to at least give him some weapons to work with. That's all I said. They just ignored the offensive line. That was the mistake. And Mr. Matt Sturgeon got a little sensitive. He was upset with my post about college basketball on Facebook last night. He said I took a shot at UD. I did not take a shot at UD. Just because you don't like my opinion doesn't mean it's a shot at UD. It just means you don't like the facts that I used to form that opinion. That's the
I'm not a big
line.
Facebook guy. Enlighten me. So
Mark Adams, I love Mark Adams, by the way. He put out a post last night, the importance of getting enough games in to qualify for the NCAA tournament. I'm assuming that rule and that total amount of games is going to be adjusted due to COVID and the difficulties in scheduling. Mark Adams tweeted out last night, "Dear college basketball, just get as close to 27 games as possible. Remember, local is good. Be flexible as things will change daily. Leverage every regional close game." He goes on to say, put egos on hold. Any game played is a good game. For once, focus on greater good versus selfish interest. Now, to be fair, I don't think this had anything to do with UD. I think this had to, knowing Mark, I'm assuming this might have to do with the Wichita State, Kansas angle, but it's also a very similar angle to here locally, just not as high of a level, as far as the two teams. So all I said was that a certain local team was not even capable of putting their ego aside for a charity game to support the Dayton community. And I know for a fact a certain team was approached by another certain local team to have that game, and that request was denied. So I said, I don't see that matchup happening. If they couldn't even make that matchup happen to support the community for charity, I don't think COVID would all of a sudden be a reason why a certain team here in the area would all of a sudden be up for playing that game. That's all I said. And that's not a shot. And if you got offended by that, that's fine, but that's actually what happened. So I don't know what else you want me to say as far as that's concerned. I'm not going to apologize for that. It's true. If the Oregon District charity was not enough of a reason to make that matchup happen, you're a fool if you think that all of a sudden COVID is going to be why these two teams play. They couldn't put egos aside for that, so why would they put it aside for this? That's all I said, and this guy didn't like it. So, no, that was not a shot. There you go.
Okay.
Can we move on? We good? No, you keep asking questions.
No, because I'm curious about, I don't even want to talk about that later. I just really want those teams to play.
They should play. I didn't even mean to get into college basketball. This guy just brought it up. So, that's taking a shot. I'm not offended. It's not a shot, David. It's not a shot. That's a fact. That's what happened. And if that's a shot, then if you're offended by what the hell I said, then read what I said. Because what I said in there is true. It's true. That's not a shot. What I said was true. So if you're mad about what I said that's true, pay attention to the true part of it and direct your anger towards the source of the problem. That's all.
The question I have for the team that doesn't want to play the other certain team
is don't take a shot.
Is just why not? I don't get it. I don't get why not. Especially in a time like this. Especially with everything that happened in the Oregon District when it was supposed to be for charity. Okay, you don't want to do it then. But now, where finances are at an all-time low and you need to keep budgets in check, if you can't drive 5 miles down the road or vice versa, what's better than that? Like, what's better than that? And you're keeping it local. I know that's a Alpha Media thing, us personally, but it just makes sense. You want to bring the community together, you play that game. I mean, Ohio State plays UC. I mean, they play UC in basketball and football.
Mm-hmm. They even played at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Now, look, I'm not trying to get into the same old tired, boring, UD should play Wright State. But again, it was a response to a tweet that I put on Facebook. And, here's it could be true and still be a shot. No, it's not a shot. That was not a, that was a true
David again?
This city there was two teams that had a charity game that had to come. Duquesne and West Virginia had a charity game for our city because the egos of teams couldn't get out of the way. That's not how is that a shot? That's the truth.
Well, I'm confused about it can be a shot and the truth at the same time. I'm confused about that statement. If he could explain that.
He said they don't care about Wright State and they don't care. Look, you're having an argument about the initial, should they play on a normal year? I've heard every crybaby excuse as to why they shouldn't, and I'm over that. I don't even care. I'm saying for this very reason, though, there's going to be a lot of regional matchups that need to happen to just get some games in.
Right.
The season that was already announced to start late November now. You're going to need to get some non-conference games in. It's going to be difficult to, travel and to go play on the road, and you don't have to really travel too far, or at least set up shop in your own arena and welcome the other team in. I mean, I don't see what's so hard about that. I'm not trying to get into. Look, I had no plans of getting into this heated discussion about this today, but this stuff irritates me because these fans get so damn sensitive about that stuff when all I pointed out was facts. I know for a fact someone real close to that situation told me that one school was approached from the other about having that game for that certain event, that charity event. Now I'm bringing that up, and I know it's a sensitive issue, so I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible, but I'm having to go into it because my point is that if that reason right there was not a good enough reason to make that matchup happen, I'm actually agreeing with these guys. It's not ever going to happen. It will never happen. If that reason right there was not good enough to allow this matchup to happen, it'll never happen. It's that simple. I mean, that's not a shot. That's a fact. If something so important to this city, if they couldn't come together to have that game to give back to the community after everything it went through during that stretch, and you had to have West Virginia and Duquesne come together to play a charity game because the two teams here wouldn't play. That's if that reasoning right there couldn't get those two teams to play, this little COVID reason will not be a reason why that they will play. That's all I was saying. There's UC, Miami, and all other teams that are relevant. Okay. Your point, David? I don't your point? They're also not 10 minutes down the road when you're looking for all these close games that you're trying to put a non-conference schedule together. Really? the childish little reasons of, we don't need them. Actually, to be fair here, Kev, if UD is trying to get an at-large bid, they actually need Wright State more than Wright State needs them. Wright State, whether they play UD 10 times, one time, or no times, Wright State, their chances of making the tournament still come down to one weekend in Indianapolis.
True.
Even if they beat UD, it doesn't matter. Right. Beating UD doesn't put them in the tournament. Wright State technically doesn't need UD because Wright State, their whole season comes down to one weekend in Indianapolis. That's it. But UD desperately needs games in the non-conference, and I'm not saying beating Wright State puts them in the NCAA tournament, but they need to rack up as many wins as possible because the A-10 is not going to provide them with a strong enough resume to maybe get an at-large bid outside of the fact that they might find themselves in the same situation where it's going to come down to having to win the conference tournament, the A-10 tournament, which they haven't done in how long now? So again, these are not even shots. They're just, it's the reality of it. And if anyone else was saying the same thing as me, it wouldn't be viewed as a shot. But because it's me, there you go.
It's very disheartening when that matchup can't happen because 2 years ago, I remember UD playing Detroit. Detroit and Wright State are in the same conference. So if you play Detroit, you can play Wright State. And also, Wright State is better than Detroit.
That's why they didn't play Wright State. That's why they tried to beat up on Detroit.
So that's my whole thing. Like, I don't get it. If one team is so above the other, then why are you even playing someone from their conference?
I know they're trying to say, like, so for instance, he goes, they don't care about Wright State. So they care about Detroit? What does that even mean?
I just don't get it, man. It is very disheartening. It's very sad that these two teams don't play each other. Because let's be perfectly honest. All the student athletes, the basketball players, they know each other. They all go to the same pubs in town. They know each other. Trust me, basketball players could care less. The guys on the team could care less if they played them. I don't understand the people behind the scenes pulling the strings about this whole thing, about not having them play basketball. It's a basketball game. Basketball games are intended to be played. Play the game.
Yep, I agree. It's going to be very difficult to get, a good amount of not. And by the way, the state of Ohio has so many teams for you to get a full non-conference schedule in. You wouldn't even have to leave state lines to put a full non-conference schedule together.
Like, obviously, I've never lived anywhere else besides Ohio, but you're 100% correct. Ohio has so many D1 basketball schools. You don't need to go play in any little stupid invitational. Could be our own Ohio Valley conference.
And again, for this season only, you don't need to leave state lines to put it on and to put a good one too.
Right.
And look, this isn't even about UD. This is about Ohio State. This is about Cincinnati. It's about Xavier. They all need those bigger schools, like the three big dogs. Ohio State, Cincinnati, Xavier. All right, they all need they need to have that same mentality too.
Mm-hmm.
They need to play, Ohio State needs to welcome in Xavier. Yeah. All right. And again, we don't need really, to be honest, what I love about Chris Holtman is that mofo don't care. He'll play anybody. I've talked to him on multiple occasions on air and off air about this very same thing. And he said, if they can make it work with UD at some point in time, and again, he always kind of smirks when he says it. So they'll make it work. But I promise you this, they're not bending over backwards to make it happen. And then when UD fans get all upset about that, they feel disrespect, but they're being treated the same way that they treat other schools. That's all. Why is it so hard to understand? They don't want to do it. It's that simple. Okay. And I'm going to continue talking about it, whether you want me to or not. It's that simple. So we can play this game all day. All right, let's switch gears here. So LeBron James was upset that he didn't win MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I can't believe I'm bringing this up, but the WNBA has a Player of the Year and MVP.
Is that right?
That's weird. I thought I saw I think Josh Cunningham, former Dayton Flyers, speaking of the Flyers, Josh Cunningham. Real quick, I'm done. I'm going back to this. UD doesn't want to play Xavier either. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. UD won't go play at Xavier. They want to, of course, like you, they want to do everything at UD Arena, which, by the way, it's a beautiful arena. I wouldn't want to leave that place either. But doesn't work that way. No, I'm done. I'm just done. I got to just, I'm going to stay in control here. We're going to go back to that. So either way, I found it interesting because Josh Cunningham, again, was it? I forgot which player. Either way, the player of the year in the WNBA.
No, it's just that's just the MVP.
It's just the MVP.
Yes, it's the MVP.
But they called it player of the year in the headline, so I was confused. Are we player of the year, MVP? Stick to one.
Yeah,
either
it's
way.
the same thing.
So,
Asia Wilson, she won MVP
Okay.
of the WNBA.
So our WNBA conversation's over as far as now. So with that being said, forget that. Again, I misread it earlier today, so we're done with that as far as that's concerned. But again, people were so upset that LeBron James was blatantly pissed off that he did not win the MVP. And it got me to thinking, I'm like, well, I don't know why that's bothered. Oh, his ego. This. Do you realize, again, I'm not trying to do the MJ versus LeBron thing, but like MJ's ego is what people loved and drooled over about him, but the ego of LeBron is what people use to beat him up. And that's always weird to me. Literally, the whole premise of the MJ documentary was about, oh man, that's fine. You could have that MVP, but I'm going to win the championship.
Right.
So why is it that, oh man, did you see that MJ line in that documentary when he said, oh, because about Charles Barkley, the year Charles Barkley won the MVP. MJ came out and said he was pissed that he didn't win the MVP. Why is it that, I mean, people just love to find crap about LeBron to complain about is what I really think it comes down to. I had no problem with him voicing his frustration because like I've said this for a long time, he's 17 years in the league. He should be MVP for 14 of those 17 years. Like last year, I would not have voted him MVP for obvious reasons. For when he was injured, he didn't have his best season. The team didn't have his best. He should have been MVP this year. Like we keep doing this feel-good story. Like Giannis will never win another MVP. Unless he takes another step forward, like being the guy like it. But what we see this all the time. We see these new players that are just different than some of the, like Steve Nash's play led to him getting back-to-back MVPs, and he had even better seasons after his back-to-back MVPs than he did during his MVPs, and he never won more MVPs because we get bored. Voters get bored. We vote for the new flashy new toy, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Well, he's not as flashy anymore. If you notice, after they got eliminated from the playoffs, we weren't all gung-ho about Giannis Antetokounmpo all of a sudden. Now we're kind of beating up on him saying, oh, I don't know, maybe we're talking about, him going to join up elsewhere. He's not even the guy in Milwaukee. He can't get it done. We always do that.
Yes.
We did it with Steve Nash. We did it with Steph Curry. We're now doing it with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Don't be surprised within the next year or two, 2 years, if all of a sudden we're doing that with, of course, our guy Zion Williams. Like that's just with the new toys. But really, as good as they are, we all know that LeBron, just like MJ should have won it. How many years? What was the total amount of years he played in the league?
Total, I want to say it was like 16.
16.
I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it's 16.
I mean, we all know how great a rookie year he had, but he should have been MVP probably all but 2 years, right? Not the Wizards years. We're not going to count the Wizards years.
Oh, he played. It counts.
But we're not talking about that. I'm talking about his great years, though. But my point. My point is he should have been MVP pretty much every year as far as that's concerned. Same with LeBron. I have no problem. I kind of like that he's kind of come out and voiced that. He strives to be great. MJ strived to be great. And any players that aren't pissed off that they didn't win MVP, I'm not saying that they don't strive to be great, but it's like it doesn't strike the same nerve as it does for some of those other guys.
Okay, so where I'm at with it, I get it. I understand he should be upset. Any competitor should be upset. And whatever your motivation is to go out there and dominate and try to go win you a fourth championship, use it. Absolutely, you should use it. If this is LeBron's motivation, if this is going to make him matter and make him play better basketball, I'm all for it. Go for it. As far as the MVP thing, no, Michael Jordan shouldn't have won that MVP that year Charles Barkley won it. Barkley had a better season than Michael Jordan that season. It's a regular season award. The Suns had the best record in the NBA that season. Barkley was top 3 in scoring. Barkley was top 3 in rebounding. They had the best record in the NBA. The year that Utah, Karl Malone won MVP. Karl Malone should have got MVP. He had a better season than Michael Jordan. Just because you have a better regular season doesn't necessarily mean you're a better basketball player. I'm not a person that says, like, all right, the best player on the planet should automatically get the MVP. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player on the planet, but Allen Iverson that year in that 82-game regular season, Allen Iverson had a better regular season than him. Allen Iverson led the league in scoring, in steals, in minutes, was top 10 in assists. He was great. He was balling. He helped his team get to the NBA Finals. Won the first game against the Lakers in the NBA Finals. Ultimately, the Lakers and Shaq won the championship. So I just think that the regular season has been diluted so much. The regular season, not only by players, by organizations. I mean, frankly, as much as I love Greg Popovich, him and the Spurs with the rest, or, putting guys like Tim Duncan, say he's taking a night off because he's old. And then you got now, Kawhi with player load management. There was times where LeBron took time off when he was with the Cavs and everything like that. Guys taking times off, it was like the thing to do for a hot second, and then it was shunned upon. So guys are starting to play 82 games again. It's the regular season is diluted, and us as fans and us as media people, it is championship or bust. It doesn't matter. Anything you do, like, all right, you can have, like, basically you get a grace period of 3 to 4 years in the NBA. Or you can do your whole scoring thing. You can win your dunk contest. You can have fun at the NBA All-Star game. You can win the 3-point shootout. You can win your little rookie of the years. You can win most improved player. All that's great. But once you get into the playoffs and once you lose a couple times, it is championship or bust, no matter what happens. And I also believe that the fact that the season got cut in half, basically, with COVID, to no one's fault of their own, the fact that Giannis is receiving his MVP award on his couch is a bad look. Just like the same way when Dirk won the MVP and they got knocked out in the first round from the Golden State Warriors with Baron Davis and Steven Jackson, he received his MVP award at the house. Like, it just looks bad. So I'm not into trying to make these guys' feelings better by, like, all right, as soon as the regular season over, let's make sure they get their awards. So just in case they lose, it doesn't look bad. Do give the awards away however you want. And LeBron James, by all means, if this is motivation for you, please use it. But I just personally believe that people need to understand that it is a regular season award. It is not the best player gets the trophy every single year, because there is times, and there has been over years and years and years, that the best player in the world has not gotten the MVP. Deal with it. That's just how it has to go. Sorry.
No. Nah.
So the best player automatically should just get the award all the time?
When the best player plays like the best player, yes. And LeBron was the best player this year. I mean, from a scoring standpoint, from a passing standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, from a win standpoint. Again, but the thing that the voting was already made up before they got back into the bubble.
That's my point.
And before that bubble ended, I think Milwaukee beat Lakers. Lakers beat Milwaukee.
But
Milwaukee,
the Lakers beat. I want to say they beat Milwaukee, and I want to say they beat they beat the Clippers, and they beat Milwaukee in like 3 days of each other. Yeah. Like, it was a Sunday and then like a Tuesday type of situation. They won, and then the season got paused. And I honestly think that's the biggest thing here. It's the pausing of the season that makes it like stand out like a sore thumb. Now, whomever wins this NBA championship, they're the champs. There's no asterisks because everybody played by the same rules. But I will say that some teams did not adjust well to the bubble. To their own fault. There's nobody's fault but their own that they didn't adjust to the bubble. That's part of the game. Everybody was playing by the same rules. The Bucks didn't look the same. The Clippers didn't look the same. But that's your fault because we're all playing by the same rules. Guess what? The Lakers are balling. Guess what? We talked about this before. I thought it was totally unfair that Portland got basically a whole new starting five because of the bubble. And like, oh man, they're balling. Well, they just got a whole bunch of new players that weren't on the team during the regular season because they were hurt. We look at what's going on with the Nuggets. Yeah, they're down 0-2 now to the Lakers, but they used a lot of that time for Joker to rest up. He lost like 15, 20 pounds. Like, so people took advantage of the bubble and other people didn't. And you know whose fault it is? It's your own fault. It's your own fault, Clippers. It's your own fault, Bucks. So for the teams that are still playing, that are still alive for the championship, go win it. Go win it. You want to prove them voters wrong? Go win it. Hoist up the trophy that really matters. And that's the Larry O'Brien trophy. That's the one that really matters because us fans have deemed the regular season irrelevant. The sports writers have deemed the regular season irrelevant until it's voting time. So, you know what? Hey, LeBron, guess what? You're a Hall of Famer. You're one of the best basketball players of all time. Go get you another ring and rub it in their face.
He's about to. I'd head back to take his third team to the NBA Finals. I found this interesting. I was looking at this today. like we talk about like MJ, and a lot of things had to happen. I mean, we went through multiple coaches, finally get Phil Jackson. Wasn't just Phil Jackson at that point too. Scottie Pippen is an established star in the league at that point, and then add some key pieces there. But all his success came with one coach. LeBron's about to take his 5th different coach to an NBA Finals. He had Mike Brown, which was the first Finals appearance. Eric Spoelstra with Miami, from obviously with all the ones they went to. David Blatt, Ty Lue, and now obviously going to do it here with the Lakers. You win a championship with 3 different teams. Best of all time.
You can say that. I'll reserve judgment until
I usually don't call people stupid, but that's stupid if you don't think that makes him the greatest of all time. Championships with 3 different teams, taking 5 different. MJ couldn't win until he finally got the right coach, and LeBron.
I don't know how this turned into another LeBron MJ debate.
Because I just like to remind you.
You notice the Michael Jordan fan never. The Michael Jordan fan on the show never turns it into a LeBron debate. I could care. I could care less. I could care less because you know what?
That's the problem. You need to care because you notice what's going on.
I'm enjoying their greatness right now. I have learned back in January when we lost Kobe Bryant that I spent 20 years hating Kobe Bryant and not appreciating his greatness on the basketball court. I will not do the same with LeBron James. I will appreciate his greatness. I will appreciate everything he does to entertain me on the basketball court. I will appreciate everything LeBron James done. I will not be so bullheaded and despise him like I did with Kobe Bryant his entire career. I will not do that. I love LeBron James. I love watching LeBron James play basketball.
You should. He's the greatest of all time. We'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Sunny skies for this first day of autumn with a high of 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and dry with a low of 51. And for your midweek Wednesday, partly cloudy and a high of 82. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
To make sure the air at your home is absolutely perfect, call William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering $1,350 in rebates plus payments as low as $132 a month on a new Lennox system. Call 937-222-8638 today. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ohio license number 14911.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount drive-bys, and mile-wise. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smoothbrook, Illinois.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding
Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
We're back in Miamisburg, Ohio at Pipestone Golf Club. It's a beautiful day, and we're playing an incredibly well-maintained and beautiful golf course. You should be out here with us, I'm telling you. We're finishing up our round today on hole number 18. It's a long par 5 that requires a right-to-left tee shot. Well, I have that shot, but I usually call it a hook. I'm off the tee, and sure enough, the ball starts to hook. It stops just short of the creek that runs the entire left side of the hole. 2 shots later, I'm in front of the green. It slopes hard to the left, and your ball will run into the creek if you're not careful. My half wedge ends up more like a full wedge, and I'm 20 feet from the hole. Then it happens. I sink my 20-foot putt for a par. What a way to finish a great round of golf at a great golf course. You should get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Pipestone. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Pipestone and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Bromley's for Men makes it easy to choose the right shaving routine. In fact, we've done the work for you. Our 7-blade razor with the no-slip get-a-grip handle gives you the smoothest shave possible. Bromley's practically puts your shaving routine on autopilot. Seriously, if we could physically shave your face for you, we would. Find the Bromley's Get-a-Grip razor in the men's grooming aisle at Kroger. Bromley's for Men. You do you, we'll do the rest.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, I love how we're always looking out for each other. Kind of like how Liberty Mutual looks out for you by customizing your home insurance. So you only pay for what you need.
Limu, why didn't you tell me about the uncovered manhole? I was literally just telling you. Limu, I had no idea you could swim.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
3rd floor study hall. My dining room table. Homeroom Monday and Tuesday. My living room Wednesday to Friday.
Wherever school happens for you this year, Staples has amazing prices on everything your student needs. This week, get 20% off copies and prints for school. That's 20% off posters, worksheets, schedules, and reports. Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on. Staples. Visit staples.com/school printing for coupon. In-store only. Exclusions apply. Ends 10/31. Curbside available in most stores.
School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right, no matter where school happens. And all at amazing prices. School on, save on at Staples.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweets out, that now it's a $100,000 fine for Sean Payton and John Gruden for not wearing masks last night, and $250,000 fines for their teams. In all, just from week 2 alone, in all, 5 head coaches and teams have been fined over $1.7 million for not wearing masks in week 2. So I found that interesting. And if you go back to, where's that money go? Like, when we talk about like when you get fined and stuff, that is, I go on to find out, all the money that has been collected from the fines, it goes to programs for former players, and fine money does not go directly to the NFL. And look, I'm not saying wearing masks is obviously important. That's how we preach it every day, obviously. But at the same time, this goes back to the thing about like, in these work type settings, you are playing a very physical sport. It's a contact sport, and you are literally finding teams millions of dollars for this stuff. It drives me nuts because the point is you're basically, by players being out on the field. I'm not saying that they couldn't be positive, but you have gone through basically the players out on the field should not have the virus. Otherwise, they wouldn't be out on the field. So you're around a bunch of people who don't have the virus. So why are we making such a big deal about them wearing masks on the sideline? It's not like we're watching them walk around the city without a mask or anything like that. This stuff drives me nuts. It's becoming too much of the conversation from a week-to-week thing, and players and coaches getting sick of it. But in the league's defense, the Players Association agreed to it. So it's like, you know the rules, but at the same time, I don't know. I see both sides to it. I really do.
I'm with it 100%. It's all about setting the tone and trying to get more people to the general population to wear a mask.
I don't wear a mask because I saw John Gruden wearing it. And I don't.
That's
wear,
you.
I don't not wear. I don't think anyone does. No one says, "Man, my favorite offensive lineman wore a mask. I can't wait to wear mine tomorrow." People
it's about setting the tone and saying we're not too good to do this. We look at some of our government officials, elected officials not wear masks, and people use that term to say, "Hey, so and so is not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask." So it goes back to, "Hey, we're gonna practice what we preach. If we're preaching mask up, if you want a season, we got to have our coaches wearing a mask." You see tons of coaches out there wearing masks. Zach Taylor's wearing a mask. Mike Tomlin's wearing a mask. I'd hide
if I'm Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor's wearing a mask. Tomlin's wearing a mask. Coaches are wearing masks. Some guys are just, I get it. You're trying to, especially the guys calling plays like Gruden, you got it on, you got it off, got it on, got it off to make the call. It can be monotonous, but you're setting a tone because you said this was part of your pitch to get the league playing is, hey, mask up. So, hey, we're going to need everybody.
For them. That's for the fans.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this was part of their pitch. This was a part of their selling point to keep the season going, to get the season going. So we need to have all parties involved and on the same page. Wear a mask. Shoot. I saw John Elway at the Steelers game with the Broncos. He was up in the booth. He had a mask on. Hey, man, just put the mask on. And, hey, if you're out and about right now, about to head into your local Walmart or wherever, put your mask on.
I don't think wearing a mask in a grocery store has anything to do with wearing it in a football game. They're working. They're playing a football game. And then you'll have a player not wearing a mask standing right next to the coach. It's all stupid. It's all for optics. It's all just to give the illusion that we're all trying to protect you, but it's not protecting anybody. That's stupid.
I've heard people say person X is not wearing a mask, so I'm not wearing a mask.
But that has nothing to do with football. That has nothing to do with football.
It is setting a tone.
For what? They're not my parents. They're like Charles Brown. I'm not a role model. They're not my role models.
But I've just given you an example of people saying that person X is not wearing a mask, so I'm not wearing a mask. So if person X was wearing a mask when this whole thing started and wasn't reluctant to putting a mask on, maybe some people that follow person X would be wearing a mask today when they go out and about, and maybe we wouldn't have the spread of COVID as much as it is.
Or it's a pandemic and it's not going anywhere anyways. Even if you locked us all in the house, it was still spread. I don't know. I ain't talking about arguing. Yeah, go to the grocery store around a group of people. Absolutely. But on the field, where's my mask? Oh, well, forget. John Gruden don't wear a mask. I ain't wearing a mask. All right, we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash as we close things out, getting you set for Reds baseball. Coming up next, don't go anywhere.
Wear a mask.
Or don't. John Gruden doesn't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
When you get your flu shot at Walgreens, you don't just leave with a bandage. You leave with a badge of honor, because it means you don't just help protect yourself. You fight for the safety of the ones you love. It proves you'll do no matter what for those who matter most. Get your free flu shot with most insurance today at Walgreens and get a $5 coupon off same-day purchases of $20. Be a flu fighter. Defend your crew against the flu. Walgreens. Not valid in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. See coupon for restrictions. Vaccine subject to availability.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So, traffic has been crazy lately, right? And rush hour? Forget it. Nobody wants to let you merge onto the highway. But hey, somebody let you merge or you wouldn't be there. So, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package and the double take tire specials. Call today for your appointment, 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Brewster's is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen. Our Roosters family would like to thank all of our loyal Roosters guests who have supported us during these challenging times. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to keep our team members employed. We are striving to do everything we can to keep you and our team safe. Find a location near you at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
We're at Windy Knoll Golf Club today in Springfield, Ohio. This totally unique course is Central Ohio's premier link-style golf course, and it's open to the public. I'm standing on the tee at the 12th hole. This is a par 5 and the number 4 handicap hole, and I can see why. There's trees, gullies, creeks, and traps everywhere. I forced myself to swing easy off the tee, and I'm rewarded with a decent lie in the fairway. I hit my 4-iron and hook into the woods on the left. After punching out, I lay 3. There's a small trap on the left in front of the green, and I find it. I get lucky out of the trap, and I land about 20 feet from the hole and 2-putt in for a double bogey. Tough hole. You and your pals are in for a great test of your game when you play this link-style course. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Windy Knoll and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
I'm thinking of you. What kinder words could be more meaningful at a time like this? At First Florist and Greenhouses, we know everyone is coping the best they can. And when hugs are not possible, a kind word or gesture can bring comfort and a smile. So today, make that phone call or send a heartfelt note to someone you care about. And if you'd like to send a fresh bouquet of flowers, we can help with that. We're First Florist and Greenhouses at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton, a local family-owned business since 1905. And we're thinking of you.
Looking for fall flavor that really brings the heat? Enjoy a home-style meal with a kick at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, thanks to our Spicy Jumbo Dippers combo for only $6.49. Dip into your spicy side with a big helping of our Spicy Jumbo Dippers, an individual side, a fluffy biscuit, and a regular drink, all at a great price. It's the easy way to fire up your taste buds. Get a home-style meal made easy with our Spicy Jumbo Dippers combo for only $6.49. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers with home daily lanes. $2,000 sign-on bonus, great pay and benefits. Contact Cody. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your car insurance with Right Track, which rewards you for safe driving.
As the world's most careful driver, that's perfect. Now applying 2 pounds of force for acceleration.
You really
turning in 0.3 miles and begin a deceleration.
With Liberty Mutual's Right Track, you could earn up to 30% savings based on how you drive. Sign up at libertymutual.com/righttrack.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Discount on participating vehicles. Base coverages only. Availability varies.
How can Staples help you get back to business?
By printing you new signs for the times.
Staples can help prepare your business for the new normal with everything from in-store signage to health essentials like masks and hand sanitizer, and all at amazing prices.
And this week at Staples, get $15 off posters or yard signs when you spend $75 or more.
Save big this week at Staples.
Ends 10/31. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Save up to 45% during Dell's semi-annual sale on business laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Reds are in action. We talked about it earlier on in the show. It's a big one. Take a look at the playoff standings. Right now, the Reds are in that 7th playoff spot, 28-27. The Phillies were trailing large earlier. I don't have a score update on that. I'll look that up coming up here shortly. But the Reds and the Brewers at 26-27 are fighting to get themselves back in to the top 8 teams in the playoff picture right now, and the Reds are trying to keep the Brewers buried. But, I don't think the NL Central is that strong, but at the end of the day, they could end up, depending if the Phillies keep they could end up with 3 teams potentially in. That's not bad. The Cardinals you might get 4. You might get the Cubs, Cardinals, Reds, and Brewers. That's pretty strong as far as that's concerned. But the Reds and Brewers coming up later on tonight. One more time before we get back to the phone calls. Take a look. If the playoffs started today, the Reds would be a 7 seed going up against the Cubs in the wild card. And like I said, the Reds were an 8 seed as of yesterday. That would have put them up against the Dodgers. We spoke earlier. I'm curious your thoughts, Reds fans. If you had to choose between the Dodgers and Cubs, who would you rather play in the first round of the MLB postseason? For me, it's the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the better team between the Dodgers and Cubs, but to me, I think because the Reds, I believe, are intimidated by the Cubs. The Cubs are the big brother in that division that beat up on everybody. I don't think the Cubs are that much better than the Reds this season, but I do believe that the aura of the Cubs would present a problem. I think the Reds get in their head. I think the Cubs get in the Reds' head. I really do. I think they get in their head, man. They get in their head. I think that the Reds, I would prefer them to play the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers are the better team between the Dodgers and Cubs. I know it's a little crazy, but to me, I just feel like I would feel more. I think the Reds would be more locked in on the Dodgers more so than the Cubs. But man, can you imagine if the Reds did beat the Cubs in a postseason matchup? Yeah. That would be huge. We'll get to the lineups as we close things out coming up here in about 5 minutes. But let's get back to the phones. 457-9464. It's been a while since we've heard from this gentleman. He's been busy. We got Tennessee Jeff. OH. There we go. What do you got? I heard you got some breaking news for us.
Yeah. Well,
hey, are you and Randy Wade friends now?
Yeah. Hey, dude, I will never. Hey, let me tell you something. I'll never get on Twitter again. Let me tell you.
You
why.
learned your lesson. You learned it. I watched it.
Too many tough guys with fake names. But let me tell you. Hey, you know what though? All I said was the truth. All I said was the truth, Just. That's not why I called him. But just to nip that in the bud, me and Randy Wade are just fine. Randy Wade and I had several conversations, and one of them on the telephone were, well, let me back up. At the shoe when we had the rally, when he was pointing at us, when he was saying "Don't take the," I was just disappointed that I thought Sean Wade, his son, was he said he was off and out, and Randy and I talked that night before, and he said he's not going to come back regardless of what happens if there's a season. So I was kind of ticked off. So then I voiced my opinion on Twitter, which I'll never do again. Anyhow, so that being said, what does the number 31 mean to you guys? 31.
It's a fun card game.
I don't know.
What's 31, Tennessee, Jeff?
my God, man. 30. It's just so phenomenal. 31 days until we kick off.
Oh, well played, my friend. I was like, I'm not good with riddles, man. I hope that's
31 days. So here's my breaking news. Ohio State can be beat this year. Here's how we can be beat.
Running into Clemson in the playoff?
No.
Oh.
Here's how Ohio State can be beat. If you score 60 points this season, you can beat us. Here's why I was so upset about Sean Wade opting out. All that's water under the bridge, obviously, now because he's back. Because that takes away half the field. Let's start, and I'll hurry up as fast as I can. We are so good, you guys. Because my biggest concern was at the running back spot, how healthy was Teague, and what's Trey Sermon look like? My God, Trey Sermon. First of all, our O-line could be the best O-line we have ever had as a collective group in our history. This is one pissed off, can I say that word? Football team. They are on a mission. I'm back. What do they call him down in Clemson?
Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine. They got, again, our coach won't let these boys think ahead, but they got one team on their mind, obviously, down the road. This is the best team. As long as coronavirus cooperates and just stays away, this is one talented football team everywhere. They're going to score dozens and dozens and dozens of points every game. They're loaded everywhere. Sean Wade taking away half the field with that phenomenal defensive front. I don't see anybody beat. They're going to be 3 touchdown favorites in every game. Obviously, the only 8 games they play.
Well, I think that speaks to how good Ohio State is. Yes, I agree with you 1,000,000%. I'm not taking anything away from Ohio State, but with as much as the Big Ten screwed around with Ohio State and jerked them around, I think they made it up to them by giving them quite the easy schedule. And people get offended when I say that, like, oh, the Big Ten gave them an easy schedule. I mean, Ohio State is head and shoulders better than pretty much everyone in that conference. There really wasn't a schedule out there that you were going to say, oh, man, they're going to be tested. You still got your Penn State. You still got Michigan State and Michigan. You know, Michigan State's just not the traditional Michigan State team from the last decade. Nebraska hasn't lived up to the hype that was expected from them coming in, especially even when Frost took over. And you got Rutgers, Maryland, and Indiana and Illinois as 4 of your 8 games. That game against that team up north at the end, it's always going to mean something. But that's the one I'm circling, not just because of the significance of the rivalry, but because I think that's the team that worries me the most. And I'm not giving respect to Michigan. I'm just saying the rivalry game is what always worries me in that. So you never know.
Nebraska working so daggone hard.
By the way, do you think they got punished? Like, I think the Big Ten knew Ohio State was going to give them pushback. But I don't think they were expecting Nebraska to be that little chihuahua in the corner yapping at them. I feel like they just gave them a rolled-up newspaper to the nose and said, you stay away. Like, I do believe the Big Ten said, screw you guys, and they gave them a brutal schedule, man. That's brutal.
Yeah, with us to open up in 31 days, October 24th.
In Columbus. Now, no fans, but still.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season, and I you know what? Obviously, if we don't go 8-0, that would stun me. I think, with Hilton, is it Hilton or Tilton up in Ann Arbor as a tight end converted quarterback? I think we're going to slaughter them, and I think Ryan Day will get pedal to the metal all game, every game. He will try to beat people by 60 because of you got 8 games, you got a short show, and you got to show what you can do in a short amount of time, because who knows how many games we'll get axed because of this virus. But I'm very excited. We have a very good looking football team, and we'll see what happens. But I think I don't think we're losing. I think we are. Again, if coronavirus cooperates and doesn't shut down anything, we win the national championship this year, period.
Yeah, the biggest opponent for the next 3 months for Ohio State, you're right. It's the coronavirus. That's the biggest opponent. I agree with you. The only thing that can stop them right now is that virus. But, hey, Tennessee, Jeff, we're out of time, man. Great hearing from you.
Go Bucks, baby.
Adios. All right. As we close things out in 31 days from Ohio State and Nebraska. We're going to be entertained by one quarter of football for 8 weeks. One drive a week, 2 drives at the most. I'll never forget last year, Florida Atlantic. I couldn't wait to go. I mean, again, it was still awesome. You're in the shoe, 110,000 people. Of course, it's great, but I was like, man, I could not wait. I couldn't sleep the night before. I was so excited to go to the game. I didn't care about who they were playing. But, man, we've talked about it before. The game's over by the end of the first quarter. It was 28-0 like that. 28-0. I was like, all right, well, I guess we're done here. So, anyways. All right, tonight, a big one for your Reds. Finally, meaningful baseball in September for your Cincinnati Reds. They are a game above 500 for the first time since May 14th, 2017. And that's 1,226 days. It has been 1,226 days since your Cincinnati Reds were above 500 any day outside of opening day. They've won on opening day multiple occasions, but of course they would go on losing streaks. And of course, we all forget it. The Reds are a game above 500. They are currently right now in the playoff picture. They're not just in the playoff picture, but the playoffs started today. They are in, and it's been quite the drought, and we're excited about that. The Reds are playing. They've won 8 of their last 9, and they look to make it 9 of their last 10 if they can get a win against the Brewers tonight. Here's your starting lineup. Here's your lineup for the Reds tonight against the Brewers. 6:10, the pregame 6:40. The first pitch will be made by Sonny Gray, who is making his way off the injured list. We're excited to have Sonny Gray back out on the mound, and it's a big one tonight. Aristides Aquino, he'll lead things off, bat first to get the start in left field. In right field and batting second, we have Nick Castellanos. Batting third and at first base is Joey Votto. Eugenio Suarez finally went yard last night. He's in the cleanup spot. He'll get the start at third and bat fourth. At second base, batting fifth is Mike Moustakas. How about Tyler Stevenson, the DH tonight? He'll bat sixth. Batting seventh and in center field, Nick Senzel is back. I'm looking forward to watching what he can do as he has a week to kind of get in the groove of things before the Reds hopefully are playing in the postseason. He's batting seventh. Kyle Farmer at shortstop tonight, batting eighth, and batting ninth, and behind the plate tonight is Kurt Casale. Kurt Casale went yard last night. Looking forward to seeing if he could build off of that tonight. Aquino, Castellanos, Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, Stevenson, Senzel, Farmer, Casale. Your 1 through 9 tonight for your Cincinnati Reds. Sonny Gray on the mound. Reds Brewers coming up next. 6:10 the pregame, 6:40 the first pitch. Until tomorrow, this has been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 14.